I'm gonna intro. I've got something a little different planned.
Really?
For this, yeah.
All right, let's check it out. You throwing me off?
We'll see.
How bad is it going to be?
Oh, it's not gonna be.
I had to read over the listener questions again, and I still don't have my answers.
Oh, that's okay. I really didn't think about them that much, so we'll just kind of do it off the cuff.
Good.
Now, if you're playing the movie on a telephone, you will never, in a trillion years, experience the film. You'll think you'll have experienced it, but you'll be cheated. It's such a sadness when you think you've seen a film on a fucking telephone. Get real.
George Clooney?
David Lynch.
Wow. I was going to guess a director. I was going to guess like Spieley or something, but he probably doesn't care. He takes everyone's money.
Yeah, that was a quote from David Lynch about watching movies on your phone, because he's a cinema purist who thinks that watching a movie on your phone is a sin.
Yeah, go watch Stalker on your phone.
Yeah. I like the idea of like watching Eraserhead on my Nintendo DS, you know.
Yeah.
The way Lynch intended.
Yeah.
Welcome everybody to the Neon Crew podcast. My name is Kyle.
And my name's McClain, the milkman.
I kind of want to change up the intro a little bit now. I think what I'm going to start doing is quoting directors.
Oh, yeah.
And like just wacky shit that they say and just put it in the intro.
You know, I always have an issue with it because it's like I think of like football coaches and like you take a guy and it's like they used to run like the running back would get the ball and you have 9 guys blocking for him with one guy out that you could throw it to, and they see it today. They're like 5 guys blocking, you can throw it forward. This isn't football.
No,
you know, like, all right, buddy.
There's that whole sense of like this thing that I am deeply entrenched within is my whole life is just so pure and I need it to be a certain way.
Dude,
that as soon as it starts changing, my whole life is falling apart.
I love artists and I love the perspective that they have, like the Van Gogh thing, you know. And I was like, I really appreciate that stuff, but like when you start telling me I'm doing it wrong, like, okay.
It's like,
you know,
I get where he's coming from. Like, you know, they make a movie a certain way and they want people to experience it how they intended for them to experience
100%.
it. And it's easy to think of watching a movie on your phone as like not getting the full experience, you know, not seeing it on the biggest screen that you can, not seeing it with like the right sound that you want to get from it. But at the same time, like, you know, who am I to tell people how to enjoy their entertainment?
Why does it, if it's art, that's the one thing I don't get. If it's art, why does it matter how it's viewed?
Yeah.
You know,
I feel like as long as people are viewing your thing and talking about it, you know, as long as they get something out of it, it's really not a big deal.
Yeah, so if you're listening, David Lynch, back off.
You boomer. I just love quoting that. So I quote that at work all the time, like on your fucking phone.
Yeah, no, I love the build up to it. He's trying to restrain himself, and then he just can't.
Yeah, there's an actual video of him saying that. So if you look up David Lynch iPhone, that will be the first one to come up. I think it's got like 2.3 million views or something, and it's got like the Apple Music in the background, so it's like happy-go-lucky kind of.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Which I'll probably include in this episode.
That's incredible.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I don't think I've really watched a whole movie on my phone. I've definitely watched TV shows on my phone before. Like I've watched all of The Punisher on there. I've watched the first season of The Boys on my phone.
Yeah.
Because when I was living with my parents, they didn't have Netflix on their TV, and I didn't have access to it anywhere else, so I had it on my phone.
Well, according to David Lynch, you're not allowed to watch it.
Yeah. According to David Lynch, I shouldn't even be allowed to watch movies anymore.
Even if it's available, don't do it that way. Just live in this world where you haven't seen The Boys.
Yep. It's like, oh, I can access it? Nope, you really can't.
Please don't.
And David Lynch is like, no, on your fucking phone.
Oh, my God. Think of The Tooth Fairy, but David Lynch comes in to visit you after you'd watch a movie on your phone. That's a horror movie right there.
Oh, yeah, that's Black Peter right there. He's coming to punish you.
The Pedro Negro.
Yeah. He's going to leave a little burrow.
How do you think the Santa Claus would feel?
How do you think David Lynch would feel if he knew you watched a movie on your fucking phone?
That's right. You'd be fucking furious.
He'd be fucking furious.
the Candyman, except we do it with David Lynch. I don't even know what we'd call it. The director.
Oh yeah.
You know, and it's like, you know, instead of saying the Candyman 3 times into the mirror, you just watch. It's like if you watch a video on your phone, a movie on your phone, David Lynch will come and visit you.
Oh, I think a good title would be The Purist.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And then Lynch, and then, you know, it's like, oh, okay. And
Just
then
like the cinema boogeyman.
you know what happens is we get a guy that's working at like a commercial place third shift, and he's got nothing going on, so he just sits in his like office and watches it, and then like, you know,
That's the cold open.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Then the crates fall, and he's like, what's that? But the movie hasn't ended yet, so like Lynch is trying to stop him from finishing it, and then it ends, and then more crates fall, and he's like, well, what's going on here? You
Yeah.
know, and then the lights go out, and then it's just like whatever scene, David Lynch is behind him.
Yeah. And then like there's some bloody sound effect. It cuts to black, and then all you hear in the distance is this echoey on your fucking phone.
Yeah. It rings, and then we shoot it, and then like they hear it in the hills or something like that. Like someone looks up and it's like, that's odd. And then, you know, there's a couple of people missing in the town. Someone gets dared to watch it, and then it's about them trying to survive David Lynch.
There's a scene where kids are running down the hall away from something, and you can't really see what's chasing them, but all you hear is like the fucking just the you'll think you've experienced it,
Yeah.
but you'll be cheated.
I was about to say, or you get the you know, to make it really gripping and dark, like a parent gives it like their kid the phone to watch, you know, like a 30-minute Barney movie or something like that.
Yeah.
But since it's film, it counts.
Yeah, right. Since it's art,
Yeah.
any visual art, it just gets ridiculous and it just expands throughout the film.
Oh my God.
We'll have David Lynch direct this.
Oh yeah. Oh, and then you know how the ending goes. You show David Lynch a movie on your phone. Like they set it up where at the end of it, he happens to watch something.
And then he has to purify himself.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And he just, you know, and then that's when it's like everyone's just bloody and like mangled and all that stuff. And it's like, it's over.
It's over.
It's finally, and then, you know, like we'll do it where it ends. And then, you know, everyone's like eating popcorn, the group of friends, and then they're watching a movie on their phone. And then the movie ends with, not on your fucking phone.
Yeah.
And then it's like, they look up.
And then cuts to black, credits roll.
Yep.
Movie's done.
If we make enough money, we're coming out with a sequel. If it tanks, we just harass David Lynch more.
Yep. If it tanks, it's a standalone thing. You know?
That's how we you know, is he still around?
As
or
always
isn't he?
intended. Yeah.
The purists are still out there.
Yeah. And then we'll make him watch the movie on the phone in real life.
Oh my God, that'd be great. Man, this thing's got layers.
So speaking of movies and your phone, using your phone, MoviePass is making a comeback, I guess. So
Dude, I went and saw, well, oh man, because I'll be careful about what one we do first. But I went and saw a movie, and I ended up getting like you know, the rewards member thing. I was like, if we're gonna go see more movies in theaters, so I keep looking at that MoviePass one, and I'm getting like tempted.
Well, it's interesting because MoviePass was a thing that was really big a couple years ago.
Oh, it was unlimited, right?
It was, you could watch unlimited movies for basically $10 a month.
Yes.
And that was the whole appeal, and everybody got it. Like the membership increased tenfold. It went from like 500,000 to like 800,000 to like 1 million in the span of like just a month.
I think, yeah,
It was crazy.
and I think the scheme around it was people were thinking, all right, well, it'll be like a gym membership. You know, if they only see one movie a month,
yeah, that's
we're
exactly
gonna
what
pocket like, or it's either $2 or $10. Like no one goes and sees movies anymore.
that's exactly what they were hoping for with
Yeah.
that model. What they didn't expect really was everybody and their mother actually using the app for that specific reason.
Oh, movies
to watch.
are really just overpriced and concessions are ridiculous, so no one goes. It's not the fact that they don't want to see the movies in the theater.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's shocking.
Right? Who would have thunk people actually want to go see movies in a fucking theater? So then they relied on that for their business model, but then they found that everybody was using it. So then they started implementing these like little price increases. They started implementing these things where you could only watch certain movies per month,
Yep.
like certain popular films, like you would get 6 a month, or you would get like 3 per week or something. And then like it was tailored to specific releases of movies too. So like a Mission Impossible movie, when that came out, like, oh, you can only use MoviePass to watch this movie because it's the movie of the week or something.
Yeah, or
like,
you can go see 5 different films for free with the pass. You know, something like where they're handcuffing you to.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you want to watch this specific movie? No, you got to watch this specific movie. You know? And they kept changing it throughout the runtime of like it starting to be on the decline.
Yes,
because it was starting to become like unsustainable. You know?
It's just hard to keep up that and keep the information and communication going out to your customers saying this is what you can do. Imagine if you had that thing and you go in there and they're like, nope, you got to pay for this one.
Yeah. And did you read about like the stuff that they would do to like certain members? Like they would make it so that it would basically log certain people out and it would make them like change their password. And then sometimes that wouldn't even work and they would lose their account.
Oh, wow.
So they were doing some shady shit before the company basically went bankrupt.
Yep.
And then now they're trying to make a comeback because I guess because they sold the company to like another sort of corporation. And then after it went bankrupt, one of the original founders was able to buy back the assets and buy back the company for, you know, remaking MoviePass, I guess, to like revitalize it because they've had that idea for a while. And so
I think where it's at now, it's pretty fair.
Yeah. And my friends, we have a group chat, and one of them sent a message about them getting an email because they've had MoviePass before. And they sent a message that they got an email saying that, MoviePass is coming back, and where we're going to, you know, you're invited to be on the wait list for MoviePass, and we're just kind of figuring out, see how it goes. You know, it depends on like how many people they get signed up and like how many people in like a specific region, if like they'll implement it in like certain theaters or something. But I don't know. Like I feel like myself, I'm kind of skeptical because I mean, MoviePass, based on what I've read, you know, I've never had it, but just from what I've seen online, it just seems pretty unstable, inconsistent, I guess.
I think the bigger fear of what's going on with what they have is the rising prices with demand going down with seeing films in theaters. So you're starting to see more of those like substitute or ancillary goods, costs, whatever you want to get charged in there, you know, concessions. So you go to a movie, you pay $8 and you get concessions and it's a total of $25. Give it 3 years, it goes up to 30. You're going to lose 100 people seeing a movie a week. So profits start to go down, margins probably decrease. And they have now are part of a subscription service where if ticket prices go up, they're going to have to raise the MoviePass subscription.
Yeah, their monthly rate.
They're not in control of the supply line or the demand line or whatever you want to call it. The price that's getting set by the market, and
they kind of have to adjust it accordingly.
I think where they're at now, it's probably the most fair and the easiest. It's the most simple setup you could have. They're still, as a consumer, I'm still getting. If I were to have it, I could see one movie really for free.
Yeah.
You know, for the $20, and they're still getting the gym membership idea where you get 3 of them and people, you know, you go see one a week or you go see one every other week. You're looking at pocketing that little extra difference in the margin between someone going and not seeing it, you know, and I think that's when that first came out. I was like, I wish I would have got it. I didn't have time to go see movies in theaters, but I remember when they were like, it's $10 or whatever. It was like Netflix to see it in theaters. I was like, that's a fucking steal.
Yeah, people took advantage of that shit so much.
And then
everybody
I think
it.
some rumors came out that they were messing around with some of the Rotten Tomato guys trying to get tomato meters bumped up so people would go see different films in theaters because like Gotti was one of the sponsored ones one time.
Yeah, that was a MoviePass movie, wasn't it?
Yeah, and they had Gotti was 54% or something like that with Rotten Tomatoes, and like there's no way.
People were like, this should be at least a fucking 15.
And you'd go into the reviews, and some of the people that review it that have Rotten Tomato credentials were giving it a thumbs up, and they would make the argument, and it's like, okay, I think what we're trying to do here is because you picked the wrong movie to get sponsored, and then it's going to piss you off because if you sponsor like You get 5 a month, and you give them some really shitty movie. People are gonna be like, "I just wasted money."
Yeah. They're like, well, there's no fucking way this review coalesces with how the movie actually is.
No. So from when I heard that you said it was back and they're giving you 3 and what they were charging, I was like, it all seems like it's pretty fair, and I think they'll have enough of a buffer until like more people stop going to the cinema, or to the theaters.
Yeah, I've read that they're gonna do like a tiered thing, so like $10, $20, $30, depending on like the benefits that you get, or like whatever you want to get out of the service. What
will probably end up happening is there will be like a conglomerate. I would call it a conglomerate, but I'm guessing there's gonna be an overhead company that purchases these theaters, and we're gonna have one streamlined. Every town's gonna have the same theater. It's going to become a franchise, and then the MoviePass will work with a partnership with them, so that way they can kind of fluctuate their costs.
Yeah.
And they don't have to worry about the market dictating who's going to go see movies in all these different types of theaters.
Because a lot of the theater chains were opposed to MoviePass hardcore when it first was introduced. Like AMC specifically was like, no, we're not allowing this. And like MoviePass would try to push it through without the knowledge of AMC. They weren't in communication at all.
I think you gotta, and I don't know, I gotta imagine that there's probably select theaters that do it. Like I don't know if every theater does it, but if you're a select theater, you get a cut of the pie.
Yeah.
So I don't know, and if MoviePass is large enough where it's their whole consumer base, it doesn't matter if you have 10 to 100 people. Like if every week I get 10 people that come in versus I get 1,000.
Yeah.
Like you might still get the same cut. So it might behoove you just to be part of that consumer base that they have if you're getting a percentage, even if it doesn't reflect the amount that you're bringing in, which is another flaw potentially with the MoviePass. But I think that would probably work out best for them, is that their margins would be dictated based on how many theaters they get to sign up. But then you're looking at volume.
It also depends too on because theaters, I think a lot of them have their own subscription thing going on too.
They're working on it.
It depends on how they feel in relation to that, and if it'll go up against what they're offering to people. Because the Cinema Carousel by us, I have the $20 a month VIP thing.
Yeah,
where
so that's a different one. But yeah,
you get 3 free movies a week basically, but you pay $20 a month. So even if you watch 2 movies, it's worth it.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how that will play up against their own local implemented service compared to a nationwide app.
Well, it's like a gym membership. I mean, if you think about it, if MoviePass can't compete nationwide with all these different chains that are out, then their business model will fall off. But then you got a different type of product stream that you got going with all these. It's just you can have a guy come in and do a workout and pay $5 for the one day, or $20 for the month. And the subscription thing, I think, has shown that it's a lot better when it's like that.
Yeah.
As long as people are still paying and you're providing enough quality for people to continue to come.
Exactly. And competition never hurts the consumer.
No.
Because
for us, it's good.
Yeah, for us, it's good because then it forces these companies to lower the prices of their service, and then we benefit from being able to choose which one we want to go with.
That's what, so as long as there's enough of these local things out here that are kind of, and everyone's starting to get into the loyalty rewards program, and everywhere you go, whether you're, you got 8, the good Mr. was it Mr. Burger, Mr. Quick?
Yeah.
They have a rewards program going, and they've got 3 restaurants.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It doesn't, as long as you got the IT to support it and you can track all that and provide a good service, it's cool. So I hope. And I don't like doing stuff like that, and I'm debating still on getting the VIP thing.
Yeah.
I really at least with the movies, if we're going to continue to do this, to be able to go in there and do that and to feel like I'm doing something.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you kind of have to gauge for yourself, is this worth it for me? How often do I go to the theater? Or, how worth it is it to actually invest in this sort of thing? So,
but if you're doing $20, cancel your HBO subscription and put into that, and then you can watch 3 fresh movies on the big screen and actually get it. I still think that there's nothing like going to see a movie in theaters.
Me too.
That experience alone is pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm a fan of that. Speaking of HBO, so there's some HBO news too. Apparently,
wow. We got a lot of stuff.
Apparently, they don't have enough money to release their whole lineup this year.
Oh my God. I heard that they were partnering with someone.
Yeah, they had a merger happen, I guess. So
Nat
that
Geo.
it's something. I don't really know. And then that ended up making it so that their whole business feels like it's in shambles. So now they're only able to release like a couple movies this year. So they pushed back Aquaman 2. They pushed back The Flash, which, I mean, let's be honest, that was already a shit show.
Talk about investing in the wrong company.
Jesus Christ.
Disney got Marvel. They kicked it out of the fucking theaters. We'll take DC. It'll be a nice little rivalry. And then Ezra Miller fucking robs someone. And Aquaman.
Ezra Miller's a fucking vampire wreaking havoc on the island of Hawaii. Jesus Christ. So their whole business model, I feel like, is not falling apart, but it's just coming apart at the seams, or whatever that expression is, because they're getting rid of like certain programming on their streaming service. They're gonna not do as much scripted stuff, and they're focusing more on like unscripted reality television bullshit.
Oh my god!
To try and get like people to watch it, kind of like, I don't know, they're competing with like fucking TLC or some shit.
How are they doing worse than like Starz or Showtime? Or
it's weird because like,
I don't understand. They probably invested so much goddamn money in DC and they're losing their asses.
Yeah, like they were like the top one for like streaming services in like terms of quality of like movies and shows that you got.
When they got into the app world and you could do your own, like I was like, wow, because I don't think that they came out right away.
Mm-hmm.
Like they said, we're gonna stick with cable, and then they realized, oh, we can be a standalone. And then maybe they're realizing, all right, I mean, maybe it was the viewership with the cable that, you know, generated a lot as opposed to what we got now, because they don't have enough shows that are coming out.
Yeah.
They used to be like really good with their TV shows, and now all of a sudden it's like, I don't know, Netflix kind of changed the game, and anyways.
Yeah, this story that I have, Warner Brothers only has enough cash to release 2 films the remainder of 2022, Black Adam and Don't Worry, Darling. Which, Don't Worry, Darling is also having like a shit ton of drama around it. Have you heard about that?
No.
So, the movie's directed by Olivia Wilde, and it has Harry Styles, Florence Pugh in it. I don't know if you've seen any of the trailers or not, but originally in the spot where Harry Styles was, Shia LaBeouf was cast to play that character. And he left the project, and Olivia Wilde came out and said, yeah, we had to fire him because he's a problematic person and he's an abuser and he has all this history with violence and stuff like that. And people believed her because Shia LaBeouf is actually a problematic character in terms of like,
but he didn't do any of that, or he did?
He quit because he said they didn't have enough time for him to rehearse his character. And so he didn't like how unprofessional it was, and so he ended up leaving of his own volition. And then Olivia Wilde spun it later in an interview, saying, "Yeah, we had to fire him because blah blah blah."
You know why?
When that wasn't the truth at all.
Well, she's the director, so it's a direct reflection of her and her, you know, probably budgeting and the schedule that they weren't able, and they probably should have not had him.
Yeah, and then
because if HBO goes like, this is it. Phantom Menace, like if you're like, this is what you got, and then you're like, well, let's take the most ridiculous character we can find, like actor, and put him into the spot.
Yeah,
you've never seen Fury, have you?
I have.
Oh yeah, there you go. That's what you're working with.
And so then, like, there's even video of Olivia Wilde like basically begging Shia LaBeouf to not quit the project, and he's just not having it. And so when she came out and said that later, Shia LaBeouf was like, no, that's
wrong.
Not what happened at all.
Yeah.
Here's video proof of you wanting me back on set and, you know, me not having any of it.
Wow.
And it's crazy because Olivia Wilde also left Jason Sudeikis for Harry Styles. Like, they're in a relationship together now, so that looks even worse for her. Like,
yeah,
that whole project in itself is falling apart, along with like all of HBO's, like, Warner Brothers whole fucking chicanery going on.
Well, probably old studio heads that are still at the top, that are used to working out of the 80s, like talking about, remember when fucking, you know, cable got on and we were the number one? Like, yeah, those are the good days. How do we get back to that?
Yeah,
and it's like life's moving way past you.
They're starting to find that the properties they have aren't enough to compete with Disney, Marvel, like all these other studios that have all these big
half
properties.
of it is you got original content that you got to go against, but you also have to look at what put you at a competitive advantage. And for them, it was their shows that they came out.
Yeah.
Like they had a good run between The Wire, The Sopranos, Game of Thrones, True Detective. I mean, they had a pretty good stretch there where people were tuning in on Sunday nights.
Like if you wanted to watch TV shows that were like movies and included the stuff that R-rated movies have, HBO was the place to go.
And you've got Stars, Showtime,
Netflix,
and
Amazon Prime.
All of them
Hulu.
just pump out all this stuff now. They're able to keep up with the original content. They're able to give like a higher volume.
Yeah.
Right? And so now you're seeing it. And even if it's not that good, it's like as long as we get it out, people will tune in. All we have to do is create a little bit of a like Squid Game.
Yeah.
Like think about the marketing that goes with it. If you got something, if 1 out of 10 hit, everyone probably got onto Netflix when Squid Game came out.
Oh yeah, my parents watched Squid Game with me, and they're not people who usually watch anything foreign.
They saw probably something on Facebook or something, and they're like, "Wow, that looks interesting," and people were talking about it, and then all of a sudden you get to talk to your friends at the water cooler. Like that used to be the thing with HBO.
I remember talking to people at work all the time about Squid Game.
When you go to
and Game of Thrones was that too.
100%, and that's what you were dealing with, and now you don't have it, so you invest in some shit DC universe that's going down. You're not coming out with original content, and you don't have the money to funnel, like, because they might also do it too where instead of releasing it in theaters, they're just releasing it straight on HBO Max, so if you have a subscription. But I know a lot of different companies, unless it's like a Netflix original, it's going to theaters, and then they might release it in theaters if it has enough success on the platform, which HBO probably fucked up, and then it's like they might be charging an extra $5. So that's why you get the content that you get is because we're just a little bit above, but we're going to give you the movies that you could be watching in theaters. And it's like, well, I just will wait to watch it at my friend's house.
Yeah.
Instead of like, I need to have this. So I'm sure that there's probably a lot of mistakes that you could go through and look at and be like, And it's
so much easier too to scrutinize these companies because there's so much online activity and presence going on. There's a lot more eyes on them now than there used to be. I'm sure when they were making The Wire, it wasn't like this huge scope that was on them 24/7 like it is now. All their moves are just there for viewing. So I'm sure that's a factor in it too.
100%. It's interesting. I heard about this a week ago that like Nat Geo or Discovery was going to buy HBO, and I was like, that seems way off. But HBO for me, was huge because I had it on cable, and that was like the only thing that you had, movies without commercials. You're going to put an extra $10 to have HBO on the cable.
Yep, you're going to get content that you wouldn't get on cable TV.
Exactly. And then now it's like everyone does it, and it doesn't feel like that they've grown. So
nope.
Speaking of
nope.
Let me do this one. You take Attack the Block.
Okay, you want me to have Attack the Block?
Yeah.
Even though you recommended it?
I know, but this movie, we'll talk about it.
Okay. I'll let you have Nope then.
All right. So, we got Nope. Nope got released. In case you guys didn't know, there's a movie called Nope.
It's out.
It is. You can actually rent it on freaking, like they got it. It was $20, like Sony or whatever. It was you can watch. I'm like, I'm not paying $20 to watch this. But Nope is a movie that is written, directed by Jordan Peele. Came out in 2022, starring Daniel Kaluuya as O.J. Haywood, Keke Palmer as Emerald Haywood, Brandon Pereira as Angel. Yeah. Michael Wincott as Antlers Hulse, which to me was like, I thought that guy had been in more stuff.
Dude, we'll talk about him.
Oh, no, okay. Yeah. And then Steven Yeun from Walking Dead.
Yep.
That was in it, as well as Jupe from, what did he call it? Jupiter's Landing?
Yeah.
I think that's the name of the theme park.
Something like that. Jupiter's Saloon or something.
Yeah. So essentially what it is a movie starts out with, it starts out with a horrific attack.
Yeah.
That you don't know if you're watching the movie or if it's part of the production house, because it's Monkey Paw Productions. And all of a sudden there's this monkey and there's this. If you haven't seen it, turn this off now or skip the next.
Spoilers for Nope.
Because this is beating the shit out of that. I mean, it scared the hell out of me. I'm like, I don't even.
That was the scariest part of the movie for me.
Yeah.
Was that fucking monkey.
And it's
Jesus Christ.
funny because I was watching something that said, Peele's signature is breaking the fourth wall with the actors. He did it with the monkey.
Yeah, the monkey looks directly at the screen because the whole perspective is from the kid hiding under the table.
Jupe.
Yeah, and so when he looks at the screen, it's like, holy shit. I just got chills.
I did too. Like I was like, oh my God. And it gets you roped in right there. So then we get,
especially because it's so unsettling because he's dressed so colorfully and like in like this kid's outfit. He's got like overalls,
it's
and like a yellow shirt.
Family TV show they're on.
Family TV set. Like there's all these bright colors and like this happy atmosphere.
The movie starts out. I mean, the characters are talking. They're doing the line from the show. So you're like hearing all this stuff, and then all of a sudden it gets very visceral. Mm-hmm. And it's like. No, don't do it. Don't, Gordy, stop. Gordy. Yep. And then you just hear all the thumping and it's like still in black. And it's kind of like, I think it's like panning around or something like that. And then all of a sudden, like you just see the chick's legs flopping.
Yeah.
Like you
don't see her laying there and it's like, oh, what's going on? And then you see like the blood splatter behind her. It's like, oh fuck, is that blood?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I knew what was going on. Cause I mean, from I didn't, anyways. So, we cut into the Haywoods at the Haywood Ranch. Very proud black family, part of the horse training or training of horses that go into some of these like commercials and movies and whatnot. And you get a little bit of Keke Palmer doing her a little bit of her
introduction of the history of the company.
Yep. And then what happens is there's something that kind of some weird activity happens and the father passes away and they start talking about it. Keke and OJ are going back and they're talking a little bit about it was odd, and then more things start popping up. Next thing you know, they think that there's a UFO in the sky and they're going to try to get it on camera and sell it and get rich and famous. And creepy events ensue.
Yep. The whole thing pretty much unfolds as you're watching.
It's yes.
Like a lot of like his other two films, you're just finding out like what exactly is taking place over the course of it. You don't really know from the get-go like what's going on. You're just kind of slowly discovering it.
I think this one was more so not wrapped up, but like more so given like where we're at or what's the movie's gonna be as opposed to Us and Get Out. Like I think Get Out was like one of those ones where you're like you have no idea probably until like the family party.
Yeah, I think out of all of his films, this one is the one where you kind of get what's happening sooner.
Yes.
Whereas like Get Out and Us, it's like a lot of what you appreciate about those movies is like what you learn much later. Yeah, into the runtime
unfolding 100%. Where this one, I think, and from what I've read, that he wanted to do is he was kind of. It's funny that you talk about Lynch, but he was talking about the cinema kind of dying, and he wanted to come up with a spectacle, which is one of the big theme in this, and get people back to the seats. And he really liked the summer blockbusters of Jaws and Close Encounters, Spielberg, Independence Day, and not to say that he derived some of this like sci-fi from it, but. He definitely took a lot of those. I keep saying the word theme. I don't think it's like ideas.
Yeah,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he put it in and very creatively, and I think it's interwoven very well, and the tone never diminishes. And when it slows down, it picks up rather quickly. Which is one of the things that I really liked about it. So, thoughts, or what do you want to talk about first?
So I want to talk about my theater experience first.
Okay,
because
lay it on us.
So I watched this about a week ago, and at that point, the movie had been out for quite some time, probably like over a month. And so not as many people going to the theater to see it. It made its money back for sure, but it wasn't like in theater number one,
Right.
And so I went to the cinema, went and saw it, and they told me, oh, you're in theater 4. And so I go to theater 4, which is like towards the back end of like where the hall of theaters is. And I go in, I sit down, and like the previews start, and there's like these like kind of weird sort of line patterns like going up and down on the screen.
Oh no.
That are like pretty apparent during the
jarring
previews.
A little bit.
So I'm like, okay, is this like a preview thing or is this going to be the whole time? And it was the entire movie like that. And it also didn't help that they had AC running like throughout the film. And so, which is fine, but like it was very loud to the point where I had trouble hearing Daniel Kaluuya whenever he spoke while the AC was running.
He did
because
have like a low
his character,
voice too.
his character is like kind of a lower register. He kind of mumbles sometimes, which is fine. You know, it's in tune with his character. But I just had such a hard time hearing certain things that he was saying.
Okay,
you know, so my theater experience itself wasn't the greatest, and thankfully I didn't have anybody in the theater that was disruptive. Nobody was rude. There was these two ladies that I thought were going to be more trouble than they actually were, but they once the movie
hey, do not ruin this for me.
Please stop. Once the movie started, they shut up and they
got
watched
into it
the
immediately.
movie.
Well, dude, the Gordy thing like gets you hooked right away. I mean, that is like an easy like.
Yeah, that's probably one of my like favorite That's my favorite cold open from any of his movies that I've seen.
Yep.
Like it was so jarring. I'm like, how the fuck is this going to relate to a UFO in the sky later?
That's what I was at too. I had
yeah, it was good, but the theater itself was a little janky, but overall it didn't take away from my enjoyment of the film. And I really enjoyed it. So I was getting a little bit of shit a few episodes ago for not watching any of Jordan Peele's movies.
I wouldn't call it shit, but it was like for me, dude. I went and saw this with good friend of the pod, Jay Hall.
Shout out.
Yep, love you, Jay Hall. We wanted to figure out, so I was like, dude, let's just check out Nope. I really want to see this. I've been wanting, and we saw it, and it's so funny because I got done with it, and I was like. Great director, shit writer, cinematography, she's awesome. And then I did a little bit more reading and figuring out what he was kind of, you know, some of the metaphors that people were kind of like thinking about. And I was like, completely changed up. I think he's a great writer, great director. I mean, he just really got filmed down. Like this
he's super smart about the script.
When they said that this is like the Jaws of the sky, it completely switched my perspective 180. And I went, oh shit, like that is really... It's fantastic. Like I was driving the other day and I was looking at a cloud in the sky and like how big it was, and I was like, it's so hard to get the scaling on this thing with it being in the cloud. But like, you go outside and look at a cloud,
it's massive,
and just like think about, all right, if that thing came to life.
If that thing just came down and started chasing me.
Yeah, what sucks is like in Jaws, you had the fear of the water because you can't, what's lurking. Like you don't, you know, so it's like sharks are real and there is things in the water that you can't see because when you look down, it's darkness. Like if you had that thought, it's kind of creepy, right?
Yeah.
There's no aliens yet in the sky, so we can't, like, but imagine if there was something that could do that up there. Like how terrifying this movie would be.
Absolutely.
Know? Like, and like you have to have that kind of thought of like, all right, I know it's not real, but what if it was? And then go look at a cloud and think about it coming to life and coming down and then eating you alive.
I think, that's definitely true. And I've heard that phrase before. You know, it's like the Jaws of the sky, pretty much. I think the thing I really enjoy about this movie the most is the sort of themes that it's going for. And one of the biggest ones that stood out to me was like the exploitation of animals and in cinema and movies. So
interesting.
So like you get the whole thing with Gordy, how like Steven Yeun's telling the story about how he just snapped on set one day and what happened. You know, he's telling it through the secondhand story of like it being an SNL skit or something.
Well, he's doing it from a traumatic experience of trying to downplay what he saw. You know, so he's doing it in a sense of kind of tongue in cheek. Like I'm not gonna tell, like
sort of like pushes away the trauma.
Yeah, exactly. Like Catan, man, fucking Catan nailed it.
And then you have the whole notion of the horses in movies and how like the history of that with like this company, how like the first motion picture ever created was like this black man on a horse. And so, you know, everybody talks about like the horse, but nobody talks about the man on the horse.
Right.
And so that's where like the company comes in of like OJ and Emerald, like their whole company with their dad, like how they come in and they use horses for movies and commercials.
Yeah.
And so
Scorpion King.
And there's like this whole notion of like that scene where they're like not introduced, but like it's the one after their dad passes away.
Yeah.
Where they're like on the set and OJ's waiting for his sister to show up and everybody's talking about, oh, the animal, we need the animal here and here, and like he keeps saying stuff like, don't get behind it, don't look at it in the eye, and then like all of a sudden they do the thing that he's told them not to do, and then the horse acts up. It's like this idea that you're working with these wild animals for like these commercial purposes, and like exploiting them to like a certain degree, and then it also
not respecting them.
And then it also ties into like the whole UFO life force that's in the sky.
Yep.
How Steven Yeun is basically commercializing that for his own gain and using his trauma to, you know, make a profit.
Yeah.
And so there's that whole correlation with the idea of like using animals in Hollywood for financial gain.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really striking theme of the movie, and it's one that I enjoyed the most, I think.
They went so, and I read a little bit. I think the one that I agreed with, because I read on that one. There was another one talking about the police brutality in African American communities, saying that the UFO was a metaphor for police, with no one being able to see it. You're never able to capture what happens in these black communities, and that it can strike whenever it wants. There's no repercussions. You know, it's a predator, but then kind of hard to tie him with Steven Yeun, you know, and Jupe. I'm just going to call him Jupe because I love that. I'm pretty sure it's Jupiter's Landing.
Yeah, that's what his name is in the movie.
Yeah, and
Ricky Jupe Park.
Yep. And so you have a hard time with that kind of attaching. There's another one that I read that was about the industry of Hollywood as a whole.
Yep.
In the spectacle, creating a spectacle. That's, you know, TMZ shows up.
Yeah. Like the whole culture of like, oh, we got to get this footage now, no matter like what the cost. And
exactly.
Like the guy falls off his bike, his fucking legs are broken, and the first thing he asks is like, is the camera still rolling?
Yeah, it's because everyone wants it now. Everyone wants it now, you know, and it's you don't care about the costs that are associated, and you don't respect the things that go in there. And that's how Gordy got tied in with it. Was Jupe should have recognized that you can't tame a predator, and that you know Hollywood for Hollywood's sake will prey on you.
Yeah.
You know, and they don't care. I mean, because Jupe's a part of that show. Gets all that happens, and what's he got to show for it? Jupe's Landing out in bumfuck California.
Yep.
You know, so the one that I was going with when I was talking to J Hall was I was like, I feel like this is the media. And how the media preys on Jordan Peele. I thought this was him saying, like, because Get Out happened, and then you got Us, and he all of a sudden he went from the best director ever to washed up, can't make it. This dude's only made 3 films in his life. And, you know, and the media was the representation of just swooping in, picking up whatever they want, taking off. But then you still have the Gordy, the story with Gordy that still makes it a little tricky. So I think that kind of fits a little bit more to me. And with you know, and it's predators, and predators can be its own metaphor or analogy. It doesn't have to, you know, I mean, you got lions are predators, but you also got
journalists who are predators too.
Yeah, anyone that's looking to, you know, to kind of take something can be considered that. And so but yeah, no, I thought the overlying, I mean, the overlying theme with however you want to associate, I mean, exploitation, you know, all that stuff. I thought it was fantastic, and I didn't pick up on it at first. I mean, I was like, I thought Jordan Peele was writing this pretty much saying like, fuck you to media, you know, saying like, you guys think I can't do this, you're coming in, and that's why, you know, the very ending with the balloon going up, kind of an ode to older films, you know.
And then like all the journalists show up at the end, and they're trying to like stake their claim and like get that shot, you know, that they were trying to get the whole movie.
So but yeah, no, that was my takeaway from it. But what was your favorite part of the movie?
So I liked I really enjoyed the sound design, like
fantastic.
It was so good, despite my theater quality not being the greatest.
It's so funny because I almost told you this, but I was like, I'll save it. But when we went, dude, there was a reverb effect for the first 20 minutes.
Oh, really?
I thought Peele fucked up with his, like, I didn't think it was like on the, you know, cinema showing me this. It was like this really weird, like, mono sound coming out, and then you had some of the secondary or ancillary sounds following it, and it made it sound like very like echoey. And I was like, this is a weird way of shooting this. I wonder if this is supposed to be. And then it went away, and then the second time I saw it, it wasn't there at all. So cinema, what are you doing?
So cinema is like, this is a movie where like the sound design is so important, and they're dropping the ball hard on it.
I mean, you got the alien. I mean, the very first one is the people in the sky, and they're talking about I didn't catch it the first time.
The people screaming,
and they're talking about the hitchhikers being gone, and they're saying if you've seen these two people, please contact the local authorities. Like they've been missing, and then all of a sudden it's like you hear the screaming. It's like, oh,
yeah,
like. Okay,
what is happening up there? And then like even the horse is like trotting around like super powerful, like galloping. It was like, damn,
he shot this first horror movie shot on IMAX. So, and it looked like, I got done with it the first time. I was like, I can't believe how beautiful that was. Like this, everything is like in clarity. The whole mountain range, just the isolation with the standalone house, and then you get the show yard, or I can't remember exactly what they called it, but it was like something like that because Lucky went out there at one point, or the white. I don't know if Lucky was the white one.
I don't remember.
There was another one that was like like Cloverfield or something like that.
Yeah, Cloverfield, big monster.
Yeah, that's why I couldn't. One of them was out there, but dude, like, and anytime you're out there, you almost get a feel for the scaling of this thing, but it's really hard.
Oh yeah,
because and one of the things I read that Jordan Peele did was he kind of made the UFO, if you will. I mean, because everyone thought that it'd be operated by like little aliens up there, and it just turns out it's just a beast.
Yeah, no, it's a creature in itself.
Yeah, he kind of took some of the there's some fish that can enlarge their bodies.
I definitely got jellyfish vibes towards the end of it when it was like unraveling and coming apart.
Yeah. Which at the first time I saw it, I was like, I thought the ending sucked. But then when I watched it a second time, I was like, this thing it's kind of weird. I mean, I don't know if I would have gone with that per se, but
right.
it looks like a ballerina.
Yeah, I was looking at it trying to figure out what the hell it was because it looked like just a big tent a lot of the times, like an air balloon.
Yeah.
Just floating up into the sky. And it was really like off-putting, but I think it kind of worked with like what he was going for.
100%.
I really liked the scenery of this movie too, like where they're living out like in the middle of nowhere, just in the like open desert basically, but they're like close to like Hollywood in a way.
Yeah,
was a really cool setting, and I think it worked a lot with like what they were going for, and it gave them a lot of room to like run around and like have the UFO chase them.
We got so many shots of them on something they're behind the horse running or behind a motorcycle or someone just taking off, where you can get the full sense, and they can have this thing in the background and you can see it chasing down. There's other times like in Jaws, you'd have to put it behind the shark fin and have that thing going at the boat, and that way you can kind of get that sense. But it's a different POV as opposed to this one where it's on them and you can actually like go behind them, sprinting back, or it's holding this camera and you're just watching this thing come down and you're watching like, I don't know if it's going to get it or not.
Yeah. You never felt claustrophobic watching the movie. You just felt small.
Yeah.
You just felt like you couldn't outrun this ginormous thing that was chasing you.
Yeah. Every time I'm watching, I was like, all I thought was don't make eye contact. Like, if I got out in the open with that thing, but like.
Correlates with the whole not making eye contact with the horse, at the beginning of the movie. They treat it like a creature. It's an animal.
Yes.
And I think that's a really cool way of like spinning that UFO sort of idea,
I thought it was fantastic. The first time, I mean, if you go in thinking like it's aliens, you're kind of upset about it, because it's like, really? Because it's hard to just think about it. We've been for so long told the UFO is a UFO. Like,
it's a big machine that's operated by little tiny green men.
It's not just that's the alien. Like, it somehow made its way into Earth, and it's just a predator, and it's gonna eat, and it's gotta, that's how it lives. It's still Darwinism, I guess, and. So it was,
going back to like the shots, I think one of my favorites was like Keke Palmer on the motorcycle.
Oh yeah,
that whole tracking shot of like her going through. I really liked that. And then, did you catch the Akira reference in the movie?
So I did not, but when they brought it up, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, because that little thing like with the motorcycle slide like that, I'm like, I think I've seen that done before. But they did it like specifically. It's a certain type of stop, right?
The only reason I say it's an Akira reference is because I guess Jordan Peele was approached to do a live action Akira movie.
Yes,
and he turned it down. But it's
one of his top 3 or 5 favorite films of all time.
Yeah, he included it as like a tribute or like a little cameo to that movie and that franchise. I thought it was really cool.
I as soon as they said something, I was like, oh, that is nice. Like that's why the more you read up on this, because like you go in there and you're like, all right, it's an alien film, sci-fi, and then all of a sudden all these things are happening and you're like, I don't know if I agree with it. And there's a little bit bigger of a metaphor going on than it just being, aliens. And from some of the responses I've heard from people is that there's a little bit of I liked it, didn't love it, I did, but I just because it's so simple in nature, there's this huge overlying, theme or metaphor, or however you want to present it, going on, that it seems like it's more simple in nature. So if it's more simple, you'd get something like Jaws, where you'd get this giant creature that you'd be able to wrap your mind around, but you can't. So you got all these people that are like, it's too easy to follow, and I don't like what's up in the air. It just turns into boring. And it's like, you read more up on Jordan Peele and you find out he leaves all these nuggets of information. He does all these things. It's so beautifully shot, and the dude's a genius.
He puts a lot in there, in like the whole like detail, like the finer details of his movies. And I noticed that with Get Out and Us too, is like he sprinkles so much throughout the script and throughout like the shots of the movie that it like takes it to a new level. And I appreciate that a lot.
Some of what he talks about or what's going on, like Antlers Holst is watching some old videos on camera, and it's like
nature footage of like
it's a predator. It's one's a tiger going like against a snake, and then there's another one that he's watching when they get him out the second time of a jellyfish like going to attack a fish, and like you realize like it's kind of just right there for you.
Yep.
I'm like sitting there watching. I was like, why is this guy watching this? 1940s like weird,
Yeah,
but
like nature documentary
ties back in. And then another one that I like that I didn't pick up on at first was the first time that Kahlua sees the thing when it sucks up the other horse. You know, Jupe is practicing his skit. I thought it was the alien ship that was down in the valley.
Oh, really?
He's watching Jupiter's
and that's why the lights go on and off?
Yes.
Oh,
Jupiter,
okay.
It was, so the second time I saw it, you can hear, because I remember the first time I heard Jupe talking, and I was like, oh, that thing got another person. And then you can hear, what I want to tell you, for you to be amazed. And then the lights are going on.
Really?
Yeah, it's him practicing, getting ready. So Jupe, the second time you see it, Jupe knows about this thing before Kahlua does.
Yeah.
OJ.
Yeah.
And I was like, boy, I really like that.
Wow, that's cool. I didn't know that detail at all.
Yeah, it sets up for like why, because then it's funny because it's like, it's one of those things where it's, hey, like when Jupe does it, it's like, how does he know about this thing? And then, so he does that, right? And then it makes sense why when Kahlua or OJ goes in there to buy back the horses and he goes, we'll talk, is because he's been feeding this thing horses that he's been buying from OJ.
Yeah.
And he can't give them back to him.
You can't, no.
That's why when he goes in there, when he's like, so the first time I saw it, when he goes like, yeah, we'll talk about it. I was thinking like, oh, he's planning on buying that property and he's gonna own this whole area. Like, so he doesn't have any intention of giving it back. No, he's been fucking feeding this thing. And he's been getting ready for that event, and that was the trial run. Because then he goes back out there and says, "Hey guys, come by this Saturday or Friday." I got a show
he like
for you.
invites them out to like reveal it to them.
And so you've been seeing that he's been practicing and he was ready for it. Oh my God, that fucking fantastic scene too.
That's a cool detail. Yeah, I really liked that so much. That reveal that he knew that there was already a UFO out there that he was feeding these horses to, and how it correlates with like his trauma, like on the set with the chimpanzee. Yeah, I thought that was super well done, wrapped up really well.
Yeah, like oh my God, just how to tie it with a bow, man, and make it a B storyline.
Yeah,
and when the tone starts going down and starts to get a little like nuance, they bring in Gordy and what happened.
Yeah.
And then they tie it right back into sprinting into the alien coming back. Like,
yeah, I thought that part was like one of my favorites of the movie, was like the whole aspect with Gordy and how it ties into Jupe's trauma and how he uses it to make a spectacle, basically.
Exactly. Like,
so The acting in this movie was really good too. Like
Dude.
Keke Palmer, I think, stole a lot of the show.
It's funny that you say that because I liked OJ the most.
Oh, really?
I did. I thought Kahlua was fantastic.
Oh yeah, he's great too.
Well, and I'm not. That's what I'm saying. All of them are.
Mm-hmm.
Angel was funny. He did just enough. Antlers Holst comes in there.
He was one of my favorites.
If he didn't do the thing at the end that I just didn't like, and it plays into the spectacle and needing that extra, which I didn't get until I kind of read out, and I was like, okay, it makes sense because he's like the lighting is. And I was talking to Jay Hall because like if you shoot on like 8mm or something like that or 6mm, I don't know. There's the photography can get ruined by the lighting. If it's too bright, it will totally like the whole thing will go up.
Yeah.
So I thought he fucked it up and was like, I need to get back out there. The lighting's, it screwed all this up. Like I can still get this. No, and then you see it and he's like, no, it's just beautiful right now. I can get it even better.
Yeah. He just goes that one extra step. He's like, I got to get this shot. It's like kind of a compulsion thing for him. Like just him as a pure artist.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a commentary on like artists like going a little too far just to make their
spectacle.
Yeah. And then it costs them their life. And it's their demise,
In the filth, in the muck, in the mire, I'll provide you with a spectacle and you will be shamed or something like that.
Yeah, the Bible quote, which I think is included here before the plot summary. I will cast abominable filth upon you, make you vile, and make you a spectacle. Nahum 3:6.
Yeah. I read that and I was like, I don't know where we're going.
Yeah, and that's the whole like thing of the movie is just spectacle. You know, it's like the spectacle of the film itself, the spectacle that's in the story of the film, and like the idea of what spectacle is. Trying to get this thing on film, the cinematographer whose whole job is spectacle going too far, and it costing his life.
I mean, between Gordy providing that, for getting a live animal on a TV show, Jupe bringing in these guys to see the alien at paying, $5 to go watch them on film, watch it in real life. This theme that you can capture these moments that probably shouldn't be captured.
Yeah. Just the idea of like, oh, we got to get that forbidden shot,
That's why TMZ popped up and it was awesome because a lot of the stuff that people did behind the scenes never could be, caught, and now you can catch it. Now it's about how do I make my $5? How do I get my name?
Yeah, it becomes super commercial real quick.
Yeah,
it's not about like the art of it anymore. It's like, oh, how can we profit off of this?
Jupe's landing, dude. Oh my god.
Oh,
they were all good. I mean, I loved all of them. I can't. I'm like sitting there trying to think about one that I didn't like.
No,
I don't know.
There really wasn't, and it's like I think it helps too that the cinematographer's voice was just golden.
Oh,
he had such a good voice, and they gave him like some of the best lines too when he's talking about the purple people eater.
Yeah,
like, don't eat me.
Don't eat me, purple people
eater.
Yeah,
it's like wow, you really just gave him the best lines, and you just
he
had
nailed
him say what. Yeah.
I mean, fucking like boom, out of the park.
Yeah. The actor's name, Michael Wincott.
So I thought he was in more stuff. I don't think he's been in a whole lot of stuff, and if it was, it's been like foreign films.
Yeah, he's got a voice that like you think is recognizable, but it really isn't. It's just a voice that it's so melts in your ears,
Oh, yeah, it's a great way of describing it.
Yeah. So, did you have anything about this film that you weren't a huge fan of, or like maybe had some criticisms?
The ending, for me, honestly, I still watch it and I get it. It's better. I told this to JL, I was like, really hard to end a film, even if you're going for a giant animal exploitation, media, violence in the African American community with the police, like to get that metaphor wrapped up into an ending that's suitable for us to, be palatable, if you will. And that's like, what do you do? So I think the first time I saw it, I didn't like it at all. And then the second time I was like, oh, if they're really doing like an ode to old Hollywood and Jordan saying this is what we got to get back to take down what's going on now, and we got to get back to being professionals, and that's about it. I could not, and it really is just the ending up to that thing turning into something else that if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. And if you don't like it, it makes it hard to watch. So I think that was like, other than that,
Okay.
There might be a couple things here and there that popped up that I was like, but I mean, small. And the ending's the one where you're like, man, if you fuck up an ending, how do you like that film? But like, it's almost like not my cup of tea ending, but I still like what he did with it.
The movie isn't like the worst for it, you know?
No.
I think I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I like the ending, I think, is like one of the weaker parts. More specifically for me, just because I would have liked to see more, like have it just be more drawn out, I guess. Feel like more of a conclusion, because
yes,
to me, like I like the pacing of this movie a lot, and it went by really smooth and really fast.
Oh my God, so good.
But I think like the fact that the ending also felt like that, I would have liked a little more of, like maybe a little more drawn out, I guess.
Well,
I just my personal preference.
When we talked about it, I was like, it's. Hey, you got these guys that want to get a UFO on film and sell it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like that's like if you just do that story. How do you end it?
Yeah.
You get it on film and you sell it, or
Yep.
you don't, and you come away with your life, which they kind of did.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's some conflicting things with her still taking the pictures, and like, they're getting away from it, and then the way that it gets taken out, it just was like, it's hard to do. Like, if you look at the story of just that, which most people probably go in there and say, all right, it's these, idiots trying to get this on film, and now they can't, and they have to just live. Like, how do you destroy, so it's like, kind of. And then if you're gonna take that approach, like make it cooler, or just figure out another way, or I don't know. That's why I said it's kind of tough with what they were going with, because you got this thing that doesn't exist and you have to take it out, and you're going off the story if they just want to film it, and now they can't, so it turns into just like a survival thing. And
then there's the whole idea of like, did OJ live at the end, or was Keke Palmer seeing like a weird hallucination sort of thing?
They could have did something. I think that they could have. He could have attacked us a little bit differently, I think. But if you were to ask, like, if you were to sit down in a room with him and he explained it, I would be like, oh, that makes a lot of fucking sense.
And
like,
it's not
that's
like,
actually a really good like way of ending that. And I didn't realize it's just my interpretation of what I saw.
Yeah, and I'm not necessarily saying that it's like a bad ending.
Right.
Like, it's just one that I think could have been a little stronger. I think.
Agreed. That's what I'm agree. That's what I'm saying too. I think there's something else they could have did that would have made it a little bit more enjoyable than what I saw. But in terms of what I saw, and like against the whole film, probably you never want the ending to be the least of the film. But in terms of this one, didn't care. It does not ruin this for me whatsoever.
And then another one I had was, I wish we would have gotten a little more Steven Yeun. Like, I feel like he wasn't in the movie as much as
interesting
I thought he was going to be, or like wasn't super involved, because like halfway through the movie he pretty much gets killed off, and then you'd never see him again. So
I was completely I think for me though, if you watch it again and you see the Jupes thing, it really makes
and
more
I think
of like, oh shit, like everything that happens after when I saw that, I was like, it all made sense. The first time I was kind of with you, like, this came out of right field. How does he know that this thing's here?
And I think if I watch this a second time, that could change. But right now, that's the only other thing that's on my mind as far as like what I would have wanted out of it,
And I agree, because the first time I saw it, that was with me. I was like, I don't like that some of these things seem like kind of just thrust in there over this shortened timeline. But I think Jordan Peele, instead of like handing it over to us and you don't see like a flashback of him talking to his wife, or like a memory of him with a horse and the horse gets away and he just watches it and he's like, what the like, I think with him, just a couple of these tidbits of things that he talks about, it gives us like he's known about this and he hasn't said anything, because he's in the same boat that Keke and OJ are in.
I really loved that reveal. Like I said before, that whole like sort of like reveal that he's known about it, like that's super well done.
It was so funny too, because like when he gets up there and he's doing his thing, it's like, oh, like I wonder if they're gonna do it, or it's just irony, where it's like he's talking about this and it's gonna have his kids come out as like, kind of like what they did when they scared OJ.
Oh yeah, in the barn.
And then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, like this is like he's really telling the truth, and no one here has any idea except us as the audience of what this thing's capable of. And then when he goes, oh no, it's early, I was like, oh fuck, like
Yeah.
I really didn't expect all that to happen, and then that thing comes in, and I was like, oh my god.
Well, it's kind of like a double surprise for us and him as a character, because like us as an audience, it's a surprise that we learn that he knows about it,
Yeah.
and for him, it's a surprise that it's early and that it's not going how we thought it would.
Very opening show, and all of a sudden it's like it's here, and
Yep.
and you're like, no. Dude, I just remember, oh my god, this
Shit's going sideways.
the most eerie, creepy that I felt in a while without actually dread. Like that, like something's in the closet, or I think I heard a noise downstairs. And then when that thing comes in with that sound effect, it's like it's on.
Yep.
And like you're conditioned right away as soon as you hear it to know shit's about to pop. You just don't know how, because it's like Jaws. Like when you hear the duh.
Oh yeah.
And it's like
there's like all these signals happening that is leading to something. You just don't know what.
peril. It's like it's in the truest form. I haven't felt peril like this in a while, and dude, like it was so refreshing. Very, very incredibly refreshing.
Yeah, very much so. So I guess we can wrap this up.
Yeah, I can't. I could do. Just preach and preach and preach on the. I'll just say that. Like this is like Everything Everywhere All at Once. Like I'd like to watch that again. It's like this is one of those films where really everything's just well done. It's hard to pick and say like you just need to watch it and give it a shot. And if you don't, I bet you'll walk away kind of like, okay, like you won't. I don't think you might go away hating it. I think I've talked to a couple of people that are like stupid, and I'm like,
yeah.
Like, what are you going to do? I guess if it doesn't.
That girl in my theater that I went and saw Everything Everywhere, that was sitting in front of me, where she stand up and was like, you owe me after that. That was such a fucking awful movie.
Yeah.
I could see her saying that to this movie.
Oh my God. Same. Like, that was like, when we saw it, I kind of bashed it with Jay Hall. And I mean, I'm not lying. I said, like, he should stick to directing and not writing, like, after Us and this. And then, like, I just did a little bit of research. I was like, I think I need to watch Us again. But like I was like, man, I'm an idiot. Like I feel really dumb for saying all that. Like and that's just my opinion, because everyone else that I've talked to, some people really just don't care for it. And I'm like, if you don't have that mindset of this, that, or the other, like it's very easy to diminish this film.
Yeah. I think that's where like multiple viewings too help it a lot. It's one of those films where like if you watch it more than once and it gets better on the second time, then you've got something good.
Well, and you can you can watch it. It's fun too, because like the second time I went and saw it, I was looking at the clouds the whole time trying to see if I could see it.
Yeah.
Like every time you're like.
Or like to pay attention if that cloud is moving or not. Like if that cloud is there the whole time.
And then like when you hear the screams, like when they talked about the hitchhikers, I think the first time I saw it, I heard about it, but I just wasn't thinking. And then the second time when I'm like two missing hitchhikers, and then all of a sudden you can hear them screaming in the distance, and he's like looking up. It's like, oh, that's them. Yeah. So, or Jupe's Landing as he's practicing. It's just.
I would really like to look out for that one if I watch this again.
You did see it, because I had the same thing. I thought the thing had lights on it, and it was like in the valley, and that was it, like lighting up, coming to go get Kahlua or OJ.
Yeah.
And then but if you watch, check it out, because it's right there, and he does his whole thing, and you're like, oh shit, like that's why he comes up and he's got everything ready, like practicing. We're gonna make some money. Yeah. And all those poor people.
Jesus. I also, one more thing before we wrap up. I like that he introduces himself as OJ, and then one of the women on the set of the commercial he's making is like, your name is OJ? He's like, yeah, Otis Jr. Yeah. Which is like his father's name. So like he goes by OJ, but like I just like the idea that like they acknowledge him being named OJ in like this way that like makes this woman look worse,
Oh, they did. Yeah. Well, I would say as soon as he said that, I was
because she like assumes like, oh, your name is OJ. Ugh,
like OJ Simpson. Like, that's the first thing I thought of, was like, oh, you're gonna kill me. Like, like the worst of the worst. Yeah. I like that little notion, that little sprinkle that he put in there. I thought that was funny. One, right. And another tidbit or little thing that I thought was fun too was when Keke Palmer does a recital. She goes, great grandfather. He goes, one more great. She goes, that's right. That's how we are. It's because she was reciting it after her dad. So she did the exact same thing that he said. So they're one way. Oh, down. Then he has to include another great. Yeah, she forgot it, and he's obviously seen her do this enough to know that she won't say it.
Yep.
So just small things that make it that much more fun.
What would you rate it?
This is 10 out of 10.
Ooh.
10 out of 10. This is
big numbers.
Movie that to me this is like the modern day Jaws. Jaws for me is a 10 out of 10. Spoiler. It's really hard. I mean, you get you include the metaphor in it, but even without it, when I watch this thing and I walk outside and I look at a cloud and I see how big that fucking thing is and I just think about being chased by it, it makes it that much more exciting. The tone in this never relinquished. The sound effects are fucking great. The sound design.
Oh yeah, immaculate.
And then
absolutely.
The scenery. This is like, this is a film when you talk about like landscape, like Jaws is out on the water, you got the boat and that's it. This one you just got the house and it's just terrain.
Simple and effective.
And it's beautiful. I mean, he gets everything, and the fact that they can go through, I mean, some of the shots, I mean, just sitting on he's sitting on the back of like a truck or something like that with this camera holding it.
Oh yeah.
And they're capturing things going 60 miles an hour, or a horse galloping with him on it. Like, they're doing these things in the film. And that's why another thing I thought was pretty cool too is they actually have the horses, they do the horse training, but they are using horses. So they're showing a great deal of respect for what they're doing as well. So I mean, it's kind of like a, it's not irony, but it's, hey, we're going to talk about, these people being horse trainers in film, and then we're actually using the horses on the film.
We actually have horse trainers on the movie.
Yeah, so I thought I really like that. So this was, I'm telling you, 10 out of 10, I'm going to own this movie.
Nice.
I will put it in there, and this will be one that I could easily throw on if it's like a rainy Saturday and just be like, I'm going to kind of get creeped out.
Sweet.
Yeah. So what about you?
I have it at an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
After our conversation here and like this new perspective and like all like thinking about all the details that he's put into it, I think I'm gonna have to bump it up to a 9.
There we go.
I think
there we go.
I think that there is a lot more to this movie than I think I first gave it credit for, kind of like what your first viewing was.
Absolutely, 100%.
But I think if I watch this again, I'll definitely get more out of it when I look out for those hidden things and those details.
And it's an easy second watch because you can pour yourself into some of the more nuanced styles of what's going on because you've got 80% of what happened. So you can watch it and then pay attention to the other 20% of it, and it's just good. I'm glad you liked it, man. I really am, because I've heard enough people bash it, and I can't, defend it enough. And I'm like, I think that this thing is fucking fantastic. Jordan Peele is in the echelon of directors that I will see if movies coming out, and I think he will take good care of me. He reminds me of like Tarantino or some of the bigger names, like God, I'm glad I got all of them up in my head right now. But like,
yeah.
The directors that take care, Michael Mann.
Tarantino, Aronofsky.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of Aronofsky a little bit, just how like surreal it would get, especially with like his other movies. He likes to dip his toe into like the unknown and slowly reveal it throughout.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that I admire quite a bit.
Jordan Peele has taken some of these things that he's gathered from these directors, and he's able to put his own style and interpretation on it, which is, I think, makes you like a good mentee, if you will, but also in your own right makes you incredibly creative to be able to pick up on all these different, like Spielberg is referencing this, the Jaws of the Sky, to take that theme and the attention to detail like Tarantino and the lighting like Michael Mann and the sound design, like all that stuff, just pulling them from different areas and put it into your own stylistic choice.
Yeah.
He didn't have to shoot this on IMAX camera. He probably walked out and was like, I want to capture all of this. Like, how can we do it? And let's do. And then they said on this, and he goes, we're doing it.
Yep.
So 10 out of 10. I'm glad you liked it too. Really happy about that.
I really liked it.
Strong recommend on my end for you guys. If you haven't seen it yet, please go check it out.
Speaking of aliens and just cool characters.
Yeah.
We got Attack the Block.
Isn't it?
Which which was your bloody recommendation, yeah?
Yeah.
Which was your damn recommendation for us to watch, bro. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so happy I chose this one to get that.
Yeah. So I guess I can summarize this.
Yeah, take it away.
So
bro.
this is, I'm not going to do the accent the whole
all
time.
Right. You could if you wanted to. I was cracking up watching this whole time thinking about you just.
I'm going to sprinkle it in.
Oh,
Trust
you have
me.
to.
I'm
Okay.
going to.
Good.
So this film, which you had us watch for this podcast, is a sci-fi film that has John Boyega before his Star Wars fame.
Yeah.
He was pretty much an unknown at that point.
I think this has got to be like one of his first in terms of leading role.
He was 19 at the time of making this movie.
Looked like he was 14. That's insane.
Stars John Boyega, Jodie Whittaker, Alex Esmail, and it's got Nick Frost in it.
Yep.
And is about this young group of thugs, this street gang in urban London, who are kind of doing their thing. They're mugging people. They're getting all up in it, yeah. And all of a sudden, what looks like a meteor comes down, and they go toward, like, it comes down, crashes on this car next to them. And then Moses, John Boyega, checks it out, and he gets attacked by this small little alien creature. And so then they go and they kick the shit out of it until it's dead.
You gotta like that. You gotta like that they're like, not taking that shit. I'm gonna go fucking kill it.
Nope. And they're a street gang. They're tough as fuck.
Yep.
They're tough as fuck, bro. Come to our block. And then they take the alien to Nick Frost's upper apartment, and they put it in the weed room because Nick Frost is a weed dealer. And they keep it there, and then all of a sudden they find that they are descended upon this alien species that is after the gang and wreaking havoc all over urban London, and they have to try to figure out how to survive and fight back against the alien creatures.
Yeah.
And that's basically it.
Great gist.
Yeah, so did you say that you'd watched this before? No. Was this one that we both were discovering?
I heard about this back in 2011, and it's stuck with me for 11 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like it pops up all the time. I'm like, hey, what's a movie you haven't seen that you want to see? Attack the Block.
Yep.
I have it written down. I was like, the premise sounds like so much fun. Just aliens come in and you're got to defend your territory, and you're a little bit like this street gang of 5 kids.
Yep.
So.
And it's definitely a fun time, I would say.
Yeah.
It reminded me a lot of an Edgar Wright film.
He was a producer on this.
That makes a lot of sense.
I watched a little bit of the credits as it was rolling, and Edgar Wright's name popped up.
Okay.
So Joe Cornish wrote and directed this thing.
Yep.
And I'm guessing Edgar Wright was a producer on it and helped out with some of the stylistic choices. Because I feel like I see some of his work, and then I see some of Joel's work.
Yeah, he co-wrote The Adventures of Tintin with Stephen Moffat and Edgar Wright. So yeah, he's definitely inspired and uses Edgar Wright as like his sort of baseline for the style of this movie, because it reminded me so much of like Shaun of the Dead and like the Cornetto trilogy specifically. That was like in my brain the entire time, and you can definitely see it. Yeah,
which is good. I mean, I had to look this guy up. Unfortunately, this film got made for I think it cost $13 million to make, and it netted like 1.8.
Yeah, it was not a box office success.
And I think what happened was it took Joel's career with it. Like, he's got one movie after it.
Damn. That you hate to see it. That's always unfortunate. But, I think this movie kind of, like word of mouth, I feel like it kind of has a little bit of a cult status a bit, because I've heard about this movie like years ago. And I've heard it described as street gang fucks up a bunch of aliens. And like the alien lands, they go and they kick the shit out of it. And, that's pretty much the tone of the movie.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, it sounds, sounds very kind of corny in a way, but in a fun way. It sounds like it could be a good time. 5
kids hanging out and they got to defend it. It's pretty much like how you were when you were 13 or 14 with your buddies, and like, hey man, like something's attacking us, like we gotta fight it, and then like you get your like maybe not that old, maybe like 10 or 11, but like you're fighting this imaginary thing, and it's really fun because like let's put you in LA with 5 of your buddies, and the alien apocalypse hits, and like you guys got to defend the city, so you get all the buildings and the space and the landscape to use, and it's like, hey, let's just make a movie out of that.
Yeah.
And then they threw it into this, and they took some thematic leaps that I didn't like. And, there was a couple things, but in overall fun, to be like you know,
it's definitely not like high art or anything, you know.
No.
It's not like the status of Nope where like there's all these deeper themes to think about. Like it's just a straightforward like alien invasion, like kind of almost slasher movie in a way, you know.
Yes. And the way, I mean, we'll do the good and the bad. The only way I thought about it was it's a PG R-rated film.
Yeah, right, because it's got like these kid protagonists and like it's very like just kind of tongue-in-cheek the whole time, but it's also very bloody.
What they do, what do you call it? When I'm trying to think, I cannot think of the word. Like when you take something like, you know, like if you cartoon, it's not cartoony. They just make it so unbelievable with like some of the things that.
Oh yeah,
like
just
the
kind of
drug dealer. It reminds me of The Blind Side. I mean, that's the one thing that I could say is like when there's like a gang in The Blind Side and Sandra Bullock goes in there and tells the gang like Michael's done with you guys.
Oh
like,
yeah,
we'll freaking kill you, lady.
Yeah, it's kind of they're kind of like, caricatures of gangsters.
Yes, that's how the guy felt. Yep. Like a lot of this felt caricatures. Like, and I was like. Some of it you can use, but they didn't need to have the one story with the guy, the Bismat or Hi-Hat. Didn't need that at all. Mm-hmm. But no. I will say one of the things that happened was, you know, and I think what this might have been more so is that it's more of a look at the inner city life of kids and the fact of what they have to deal with and go through with selling drugs,
mugging people,
mugging weed dealers, the police come in, and then you know this alien presence is just another added effect of something that could happen where you're doing the right thing but viewed in the wrong way because you know and that being part of the inner city youth that. This is how everyone else sees you. We as an audience can now see you as, oh, you're actually protecting or you're looking out or doing the right thing. Where when the police come in, they just take the kids because they're black kids. Mm-hmm. You know, it's looked at like, you know, from everywhere else. It doesn't matter what, you know, what you're dealing with. Even when you make the right decision, you still have this battle. Yeah. And I thought that was it was an interesting way to end the film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, where like most of the main characters get arrested.
Yeah, and that's why I was like, I think that's a little bit of what he was going for was, you know, to make it, and that's why you have to have Hi-Hat in here because you have to have a lot of these elements that
like control the lives of the characters and like put them in the situations they're in.
Inner city, you know, they talk about the cops, and well, one, it's like they're like. I don't know why they're after us. It's like, well, you robbed that lady and she told on you.
Yeah.
Like, we all know why.
Yeah.
Like, I know you don't have money. It's still wrong. But.
Where are the cops' blood enforcement?
Yeah. Oh my God. And then they had because he says a line. He says something along the lines of like, you know, we got these drug dealers that we're always going against. We got the cops that we got to fight off. We got the aliens taking over our town. I just can't get it right. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's really what you see is that he makes a choice in his life to do the right thing, and
it's like the idea that like trouble just follows Moses wherever he goes, and he always fucks things up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And he actually, I mean, this time, you know, made the right. I mean, yeah. So I teetered a little bit, and I didn't like I never liked caricatures. I'll say that. I never. One of those things I just never really, unless it's tongue in cheek and it adds more. Mm-hmm. Like if they made Hi-Hat maybe a bumbling idiot, and
no, he was just straight like standard intimidating gangster. Like there wasn't much to his character at all,
and just dumb shit. Like he watched the guy get killed, and then he's like, "Well, I'm gonna take out the gang."
Yep.
And I'm like, you're making this dude one-dimensional.
Yeah, like why the fuck the kids told him that the aliens were invading and that's why they crashed into his car, and then he's all pissed off, and then they're like, no, look, and then he sees the alien kill his friend, and he's like, fuck these kids, man, what the fuck? And it's like, bro, they told you the truth. Like, what the fuck? Why are you pissed off at them?
Really just fitting in a storyline B.
Are you just supposed to be like hot-headed gangster who just like has bloodlust or some shit? Like,
yep.
Okay, that's cool.
Those were some of the things that happened that just really annoyed me.
Yeah,
you know, and like Nick Frost, like in some of the, I guess we're going into the bad, but Should we
that's
go to
fine.
the good, or we just stick with the bad? Like, I don't.
Well, we can
and
get
it's
the
not
bad out of the way.
Okay, because I was about to say this isn't bad. It was just these are the ones that irked me from a film that had a lot of potential.
Yeah.
The camera shots, like the opening camera shot, is beautiful, and then they just get really lazy with the camera work.
Yeah, the cinematography isn't anything special, really.
They had a chance though. They had the opening shot with the crane. They're looking out into the sky, and I'm assuming it was a crane because they got it on here. And then they start panning down. You see the fireworks, the dimly lit theater or whatever she's walking out of that has like a grainy look to it.
Yeah,
you know?
I think that's what like separates Edgar Wright from like a movie like this, is where like his movies are so stylistic and he's got all these cool transitions and these really interesting shots of like that parody the type of movie that he's making.
Yes.
Whereas like this movie, it just kind of feels like alien invasion movie, they shot it.
They
like
dipped their toe into some of that stuff. They just couldn't tonally get it right.
Yeah.
Like Nick Frost is in this, had a great chance to be really funny. They make him this like leather wearing high as fuck drug dealer.
Yeah, they just make him Seth Rogen. He's just high the whole time.
But they don't even like give him lines. Like
No.
he's literally just there servicing them, being like, "Yeah, I'll get you guys over here."
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why you even cast that guy into this role if you're not going to use him.
Yeah, like he felt more like a cameo than anything. And like even then, like normally cameos they have like some kind of
Tom Cruise in Tropic Thunder.
Yeah, they have some kind of angle to them where like they make it a little more elevated, whereas this is like, oh, Nick Frost is in it. That's cool, I guess, but he doesn't really do anything.
Nothing.
You know, his character is that he has the apartment that they need to get to at the end. Like
Rob's
that's his
weed
character.
shack.
Yep.
Like that was it.
Yeah,
that's all he's got.
His character is that they need to get to his weed room, and he doesn't really put much else into it. Oh, Mac is taking a little sipperoonie.
No, I hope they can't hear it. Maybe they can. Well, if you can, let me know.
I'm definitely gonna elevate the sound so they can.
Okay. Hey, Easter eggs in the podcast episodes.
Yeah, we're like Jordan Peele, pretty much. You know, we're putting the finer details in.
I wish. I've never been so wrong on someone. I cussed him out after that ending, and I've never felt more embarrassed. And like, boy, Justin, when you're listening, just remember I'm wrong on that guy.
Yeah, you at him on Twitter, Jordan Peele. What are you doing?
Hey, Jordan, how's it going?
Yeah, Nick Frost wasn't anything too special in the movie at all. A lot of the other characters definitely felt caricature-y, like the friend that like dies first that's in the group that's pissed off that they're having the woman that they mugged earlier join their group.
Dennis.
Yeah, Dennis.
Yeah,
he's like, I don't approve of this, mate. And he's like, I'm pissed off. And then he dies in the next scene. It's like, okay, that was kind of predictable. You could tell that he was the next to go. Cause
I mean, I didn't know if any of the kids were going to die, honestly. I was like, PG rated R movie. Like, I don't know where we're going to go with this because they didn't need to kill him either. You know, like I think 2 of the 5 get offed.
Yeah, two of them die. It's Dennis and then Jerome.
Yep,
gets killed. The kid with the glasses, which I kind of liked him a little bit.
I liked all of them, honestly. I mean, even they all were fun in their own ways. Like even Dennis just being pissed off, but he had a couple good quips, and you know, I mean, there wasn't. Yeah, I liked the group.
I liked Pest quite a bit. Like the second in command,
he was.
He was the kid that was hitting on Jodie Whittaker the whole time when they.
Oh, that wasn't Alex. Alex was in the paper thing, or what's his name? Oh, his nickname was Pest.
His nickname was Pest. Yeah, the actor's name is Alex. Yeah.
No, he was fun.
I liked him just hitting on Jodie Whittaker, like he breaks his leg.
You got a nice pair of boxes under there too, if you want to see him.
Yeah,
I can take
got a nice pair of boxes off. Yeah. I love.
Oh my god!
They always said love and bruv.
Oh, I say it all the What up, bruv?
I love.
Yeah, I say love all the time too. Well, it's from The Boys. Oi.
Oh yeah, with fucking.
Morning, love.
Yeah. What's his name?
Butcher.
Billy Butcher. Yeah,
Butcher says it, and I was like, I actually like saying it. I just, it sounds like a positive. What's going on? I care for you. How you doing?
It's got that like oomph to it.
Yeah, bruv. When they said it, I was singing brother love, like when they were saying bruv.
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh, obviously, probably you say that to someone that is part of your family.
I liked John Boyega quite a bit. I thought he was really good. He played the stoic leader that was like, it almost felt like he was like putting up a wall with everybody. Like he didn't want to let anybody in. And so like when Jody goes into like his apartment, you get a little bit of sense of like what his home life is finally, because like he's the only character when they go into like his apartment that you don't see like in his apartment.
Yes.
Know? And so like you're
live with my uncle. That's and yeah, because you have no idea that guy could be on heroin just sitting in his chair.
Yeah.
You know, like you really don't know how messed up it is.
And so like when you get that little bit of reveal of like how his life is and like how lonely the guy actually is, it's like, oh, okay.
Oh, he said he lived with his uncle, but I'm like, I don't even know if the uncle's around.
Well, he said he comes and goes, but mostly goes.
Like he said that? Okay. I think I must have missed on that because I heard the uncle thing.
Oh, trust me. I read it because I had to have subtitles. Cause
that's why. Well, you texted me yesterday and you said bruv, and I was like, brava. You know, I said, what's up, brother? What's up, brava? Because I thought you just made up a word.
No.
And then I was watching it with Jasmine today, and I was like, can you throw the subtitles on? And the very, what up, bruv?
Oh,
and
yeah.
I was like, oh, okay.
Like, this is what he meant by his text.
So that was a real thing that he said to me. Yeah.
So yeah, just like the whole language aspect and like the way the characters were acting in the movie, I was a fan of.
Thick accent.
These
But you got
like urban London accents.
And they were talking a little bit, and what's funny is like like we watch it, we're like, oh, that's kind of like, you know, urban city dialect, you know. But like if you talk to someone, they might be like, no, that's just like the Blind Side, you know, like when you call like, what's up, gangsta?
Oh yeah,
you know, and you're like,
might be totally caricature.
Yeah, like no, that they're not saying that in that part of the city.
No,
you know, like you're definitely like there's a lot more words being thrown around.
What's up, my brother?
Yeah, like that's what. So I'm watching it. And
man,
I was like,
fuck the police, you know?
Yeah. So
yeah, who knows how much of that is actually true to life? But I enjoyed it as somebody who is a dumb white American man. It was entertaining.
100%. 100%. Yeah, it was fun. I mean, this thing's like.
Yeah, I mean, there's like I think the goal of the movie was just to be like a kind of tongue-in-cheek like alien adventure movie.
See, that's where I just get. It's like it was, I think, but at the same, they didn't come off like that. Like it was just like it's either a little too serious when it didn't need to be, or they missed some
and
of
that's the thing. Like that also separates it from Edgar Wright is that
100%.
Like it felt like it was a little too serious about the subject matter.
Yes,
at time like a lot like most of the time. Whereas like Edgar Wright,
90% of it.
Edgar Wright is like silly throughout. Like there's moments in his movies like Hot Fuzz or Shaun of the Dead where there's like a serious undertone, but for the most part it's just the characters being goofy and like trying to figure out the situation.
Like
and
just they could have had these kids being silly the whole time, taking out these things with God knows what, you know, instead of getting like a katana, they have
Home
like,
Alone with aliens.
Yeah, like they got to come up and, you know, and they're like, oh my God. And then they have to lift up a motorcycle because one of it broke its leg and they like, you know, like rev its face until it melts.
Yeah.
Like,
I would have liked a little more creativity with how they approached combating the aliens. But
and then when Dennis dies, he has his whole spill out, you know, on like freaking out on the chick that's going to help him out. And then you get maybe they save, like don't save him, but they catch him in his waning moments. And he's like, listen, man, like, you know that my family, and then he lists off some horrible things that have happened to him. And he just goes like, I don't want to be remembered like that. You know, I want you guys to survive. And then you get that serious, these guys are family. Because like, they hit it like they're gang members the whole time, but really in a gang, that's why you do all that stuff is because of the loyalty you have for one another. But in this, it's like you get a sense of it, but then they just kill them off. And that's why I was like, I didn't know if anyone was going to die because I don't know how they were going to make it something impactful.
Yeah.
Besides like, we got like Jerome getting killed. I was like, that could have been Piggy from fucking
Lord of the Flies.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah.
Right? Like it made it very heavy hitting and said he's just gone and they're like running. And I was like,
yep. Oh, that character doesn't exist anymore.
I was like, why are they doing this? They didn't have to kill any of them because they didn't do anything impactful with it.
I think if they would have embraced the whole silliness of it, then it would have been a lot better. Like kind of just try to be a little more like because it clearly is inspired by Edgar Wright. So if they like embrace that whole like tongue-in-cheek nature of it, like, oh, we're gonna get creative with the kills, and they totally could have set up the Home Alone thing because all the aliens were specifically after Moses, so they were coming to them.
Yeah,
it's like if they would have had like time to set up all these traps and like these cool contraptions, it would have elevated the movie a little bit more. You know,
they could have did more with it. It's 88 minutes, and I I don't want to say it goes down smoothly. There's times where it kind of starts to get a little bit. The pacing's just the problem I have with it is the pacing's off because the tone's bad.
Yeah.
So it gets you thrown off, and then you get things like hi-hat that's something happens where he's gonna do something now, and you're with him, and it's like he's a caricature, so I don't even give a shit about like what he's doing,
Yeah.
you know. And then it's like, oh great, he's gonna go find the kids, you know. Like if we're just in an 88 minutes, like I thought. It's funny because like it takes like 20-30 minutes before they even get like going on the aliens.
Yeah.
Like and like you get the one, but until they all kind of pop out and shit starts hitting the fan, I'm like, we've got less than an hour to wrap this thing up.
No, they like do the thing where they walk through the neighborhood and they introduce like the little kid characters, and then they introduce Nick Frost and like that skinny white dude who's like nervous the entire time, and then they introduce.
I'd help you out if I weren't so profoundly stoned.
Yeah,
I laughed at that.
and then they introduce them to like the bad guy of the movie, you know, Hi-Hat, who's like. He really isn't that much of a threat to the other character. Like, does he kill any of the other characters or like harm them in any way? Like, they all die from the aliens.
Yep, no, he doesn't. The threat.
And so
of
there's really
Hi-Hat
like
is that him with being able to kill him. I guess.
Yeah,
I don't.
like so it's just like an added layer that they wanted to throw in to like make it a little more suspenseful, but he didn't really impact the story or like the characters in any way. He just was there.
I mean, it's like another threat that they have to avoid. So not only are you running from them, you got to avoid hi-hats. So when they try to, I mean, they get to safety, and when they do, he's
true. But maybe if he actually like did something, you know, to make him intimidating, it would have worked a little more. But it just felt like he was thrown in, like just for the sake of adding more tension.
I'm the drug dealer that can kill you because I'm crazy.
Yep.
And then it.
Yep.
So. It was.
So how did you feel about the creature designs of this movie?
Man, dude.
I kind of liked it because, like, I don't know.
I'm in the same boat with you.
They felt like, you know, a lot of it was practical, I feel like. But then at the same time, like, if they had to implement the special effects, they had an excuse because, like, all the creatures had, like, pitch black fur and, like, glow-in-the-dark teeth. So it was easy for them to kind of put them in there and, like, make them look pretty consistent. Like, I don't know. I liked how they looked. It
was, you know, I don't know. This is why I have a hard time with it because those things are silly looking, but this film isn't silly enough.
Yeah.
So every time you see them and you're watching these things and it's like, oh, this is really serious, but I know that's a man and covered in dog hair with glow-in-the-dark teeth. Like,
yeah.
If it's silly, then the creatures being silly, I feel great about. Because I'm like, oh, like they're going to take a Sith that they found, you know, in like this rusted out warehouse and kill it. Like, fun, you know? Oh, we got these kids that can't, like they have these toy guns and they're trying to protect themselves and they're getting away from, you know, character B4.
Yeah.
Like I just was, there's one. I think for me that would have solved it is if they would have went silly on this thing and would have made it like, hey, these things are kind of silly.
Definitely.
Think of how much more fun that would have been watching those things climbing up that roof, and you're like, how are they gonna like arm the apartment? You know, and they got like they get into someone's place and they just deck it out with like, you know, safety pins and like all this shit, and you're like, oh, this is gonna be great. But instead, these kids are like deathly afraid of these things that they call gorilla werewolf dogs or something like that. And you know, I thought the glow in the dark teeth were really cool. I thought if they would have focused more on that aspect as opposed to giving us the whole image and let our minds decide how big these things were or how fast they moved.
Leave it more to the imagination.
100%. Then the seriousness and the gravitas of like what is happening feels it's up to me now to project what I'm seeing in my head.
I think that's the biggest issue with the movie is they couldn't pick one thing or the other. They tried to put both like the silliness and the seriousness together. I think
Edgar Wright, I bet you Edgar Wright, what happened was he was working with the director trying to get the guy a shot and was telling him, you should do it this way. These are my thoughts. And that guy was like, I like that, but let's make it a little bit more like, hey, they're in the hood. They have to survive. As opposed to like, Shaun of the Dead, we're going to get to the pub and lock it down and get drunk while we fight zombies.
Yeah.
Like... That's
super embraceful of like the tongue-in-cheek nature of it.
100%. Like, hey, it's right there.
Yeah.
And this guy's like, well, let's make it a little bit more, got brother in arms.
Yeah. The creature designs kind of reminded me of Muppets in a way. Like,
yeah,
just the fur and like the whole like beastly aspect of it. It reminded me of something that I would have saw on like Sesame Street, like Cookie Monster just coming after them,
Oh my God. So you're watching them and it's like, it's kind of cool, but then I'm like, well, they got people in there, and now so that's why they don't even look. So they're trying to make this thing to be really fast, but I'm like, it's a person walking on his hands and feet, so they don't look like they're that fast when they're moving in just their get up. So I'm like, that was another thing where I'm like, there's no way that thing's catching up. As much as I want to believe it,
yeah.
So,
but I appreciate the fact that they did do a lot of like practical stuff, and like they made it so that the production value was better in that aspect.
Yeah, they could have been schlocky with CGI on this.
Yeah,
because
the CGI could have been like, they could have used that like and leaned on it the whole time, and it just could have been a shit show. But
yes,
I'm glad that they went the route that they did as far as like the special effects for the creatures, because I think it worked for the most part for me.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not going to sit here. I think it just takes it away, is what I'll say.
Yeah.
I really like the glow in the dark teeth, and I thought that made it more fun. And then you could see when they opened their mouths, like the fangs you were dealing with.
Yeah,
and the word of how like what they did, I just didn't. From what I'd seen them do, it's like even with the practicalness of it, it's like I know that they're not doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, the story I felt like too was pretty, I guess, predictable too. Like you could really kind of tell where it was going. Just like, oh, certain characters getting picked off one by one. Like when Dennis was spouting off against the girl joining their group, it's like, okay, he's gonna die. And like the gangster who like goes up into the apartment, like he's got Nick Frost hostage, is like, okay, well he's gonna die because all the aliens are gonna fucking kill him.
Yep.
And then sure enough, they come and they kill him. Like, all right.
I think he's the only one that I predicted dying. Like I said, the kids, I wouldn't have been shocked if they kept all of them alive or just let Boyega by himself. Like once Dennis and Jerome left, I was like, all right, like the other two, like, are they gonna get them? Like. Kind of thing. Like, I don't know where this is leading to.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then you've got like the little kids with the squirt gun full of gasoline, which at first when they said
they were the funnest part of that film.
When they said that,
I shouldn't say it like that, but like I really like those kids.
When the one kid said that it wasn't water in the squirt gun, I thought, oh, he pissed in it. Like I thought that.
Oh, I didn't know either.
I thought that they put urine in there, but
so what's funny is like. I didn't think about that line, but like when they're getting ready to squirt this thing or do it, and I was like, better have gasoline in there or something. And he said, well, what if I miss with the banger? And he's like, you're not gonna miss, and if you keep talking like that, they're not gonna call you ma'am, they're gonna call you pussy.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, these little 9-year-old shits are like, and then they got the gas, like that could have been the whole film.
Yeah, like just
think about that.
Yeah, and that totally would have leaned more into like the whole Home Alone inspiration of it.
Like you come up with these exotic ways to kill these things, and how much fun like you could have get a lighter and like the Lysol and just
get like the Axe body spray, just
like they
fucking flame throw them down,
like you're in the building, you're running around, you're like you grab something, like you go in the bathroom and you're like fuck, and you got the lighter, because you've been lighting off the fireworks, and like that thing comes in there, so you just grab whatever you got and you just just reactive and
yep.
So yeah. What could have been? They really, I
enjoyed this movie overall for what it was. It was a fun kind of like adventure sci-fi movie, but it definitely could have been more. Like it had potential, I think, to be more.
I built up 11 years of what we're talking about, and I think I thought that's what it was going to be. And then when they had like just clips of it in there, it was like, God damn it.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's I think just different for me now and the more I'm talking about this, the more I'm seeing how I really feel about this film.
I liked Jodie Whittaker. I thought she was really good. Like her acting, I thought she was probably the best actor in the movie alongside Boyega. Yeah.
I think I like the stone friend too. I mean, he was just he was just there, but I think he had a weird look about him, and some of it was like a little
The way he walked was super off-putting.
Yes.
You notice how he walked like down the sidewalk when he's listening to his music.
Not
and
only
he's
that, but in the when he's going to the elevator, I was looking at his getup and I was like, this just seems like he's got like a David Bowie vibe going.
Well, they dressed him up like Leonard from The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, I don't. But then he had like those weird, like the shoes he had on were kind of throwing me off. And I think it's like they're popular like in Great Britain, because I've seen other guys wear those shoes with jeans, and they're not like girly shoes. I think they're for comfort. They just look kind of girly.
Yeah.
But then he had like he's moving around really whimsical.
Yeah.
But he's just high as fuck. So, but it made him seem more passive. You know, which is what he's supposed to be. But then like he starts hitting on her. He's like, oh man, maybe I'm gonna have a shot. Like I think he wasn't hitting on her like the way Pest was.
Oh yeah,
he definitely was like getting a vibe.
But he definitely was into her.
But yeah, and then when he found out, you could see his body language when she goes, "I have a boyfriend." He kind of went like,
oh yeah, a little bit of defeat, you know.
Yeah, so that's why I liked his character. There's a couple things that he did that were like was like off-putting, like that elevator, like you're saying down the sidewalk. For me, it was him to the elevator. I was like, I just don't know why this feels like he's, you know, he just.
Yeah. Did the director tell him to walk like that?
He probably just like, you're baked out of your mind.
Oh, and yeah. He was like, interpret that how you will. He's like, okay. And then he just walks like he's got a fucked up leg.
Yeah. He sees his dad's car. I liked him. I thought he was. The one line besides like him watching Nat Geo stoned, he comes up with a theory on how they got here. And I was like, that's plausible. I like that. Everyone, you're kind of wondering why. And then he goes, hey, they catch some solar winds and they drift around the universe like pollen. I was like, oh, okay. And then, it's like a bee, so when it's a pheromone. And
yeah, his character was like the stoner guy who like also happens to know like all these different nature aspects, and like he actually went to school and is educated, but he's still a massive stoner.
Yeah, I took one class. It's not in any taxon I'd ever see, and then he's just like getting ripped.
Yeah.
I was like, I know guys like that that are like insanely smart or just have a great memory, but it's like they just kind of
spend all their time just smoking weed.
Well, you just get into a certain lifestyle, and it's like I don't need to apply myself.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely got that across from his character.
Yeah, so but the best one, he's like, I would go to that apartment and do it if I weren't so profoundly stoned. I really thought that was funny. Like,
was there anything else you wanted to touch on with this movie, or
No, I got it out. I just watched it today, and it was kind of like, like when something ends and you're smiling, you're like, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that. And you're just like telling yourself that. Now that I've let it sit just a little bit.
Yeah, you don't really think about all the problems it has until you like talk with somebody about it,
100%, dude. Well, and in my head, some of it was like, so, like you spot something and you're like, well, if I bring it up later, then it was something. And if I don't, then it goes by the wayside. Just some of the mental notes that I've had that we bring up. I mean, it was like, the problems I had with it, not silly enough, could have been way sillier. So I get pissed off that it's like, oh my God, you took a great concept and blew it. So the camera work started out, like I was kind of getting excited about it, and then it gets really generic, The tone just sucked.
I think the biggest thing going against this movie for me is that it's not going to be very memorable. Like, I'm not going to remember a lot of what happened in this movie like after a certain point, whereas something like Nope, I'm going to remember quite a bit.
Yeah,
after I've long since seen it,
Someone in 10 years, someone will mention Gordy too, and you'll be like, I remember that scene where I was at.
yeah.
Like
someone will say chimpanzee. Like, I'll just see a chimpanzee and I'll just think of that scene because that sticks out so much to me.
Yeah, I mean that's like, and then with this one, and I think they had a chance because I think if they go silly and we get more of the gasoline and the squirt gun and you're throwing fireworks. And fireworks in movies are just like beautiful. You could light up anything with fireworks.
You could do they could have done so much with fireworks, and like just the whole like the Home Alone angle that they could have taken had a lot of potential, but they
fucking squander it. So that's why I think. But and I think the only actually what will happen now is like if someone brings up Attack the Block, I'm probably gonna be like the most PG R-rated movie that I've seen in a while. Like. It didn't take any chances.
No, it was pretty safe.
And the kids that they kill, they don't do anything besides like you see a helmet fly off and then another one go goodbye or something like that. Or
he's like and then he gets dragged back.
Yep. That was about it. And so they don't do anything in that regards, and it's just like, well, and then, yeah, so.
I think I'm cool with wrapping this up.
Perfect.
What would you rate it?
Dude, I was a 7 out of 10, but I'm going to drop it to a 6.
Okay.
I really don't. I think about the only thing I probably remember this is bruv.
Yeah, bruv.
Yeah, bruv.
Yeah, that's right. That's blood, man. I think I'm going to give this one, right, a nice 7 out of 10.
Yeah, that's what I was close to it, that, but.
I think you and I are pretty much on the same page.
Yeah,
when it comes to that.
I think you probably enjoyed this a little bit more than I did. Like, I shouldn't say. Well, I mean, like, it's
I think it went down smooth, but I don't.
Smoother than for you than for me, and probably because honestly, the only difference might be the aliens. For you,
Yeah, but this movie, I'm not going to remember a lot from it. You know.
Yeah, no, that's where we get to. That's how you get a 6 or a 7 out of 10 rating, guys. Okay, just letting you know.
You just,
teetering on non-memorable.
Teetering on the mediocre.
Yeah.
Speaking of mediocre, you know what isn't mediocre? Our fans.
That's what I'm talking about. You are not mid.
And they've got some pretty top-of-the-line questions for us.
Again.
From the Facebook.
Love it.
So our first set of questions comes from Justin, friend of the pod. Shout out. His first question is, speaking of aliens, what would be an alien-related film that you would recommend? And he puts Dark Skies 2013 as his example.
Interesting.
I enjoy Signs quite a bit. I like M. Night Shyamalan's Signs film because it's a slow burn alien film that has a lot of mystery and character and, emotion behind it, I would say. So
yeah.
Signs is a good one. Just for pure fun, I like Edge of Tomorrow quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
Just for like the premise of Tom Cruise becoming Tom Cruise as the movie goes along. I think that one is a decent watch. Edge of Tomorrow or Live, Die, Repeat, whichever title you are familiar with. We've kind of bitched about that before.
Next poll.
Yeah.
Let's see who's right and who's wrong.
And finally, top of the line, upper echelon, Chicken Little, I think is.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, how the fuck can that thing talk?
Just based on the character designs, you would think that they're all aliens. Fuck, man. I don't know. What would you say is your recommended alien movie?
So I was like, I'm just running through like the list like in my head right now. I think I could pick different genres of aliens, and like where like if you wanted, I'm not gonna go through it like that. I'm gonna tell you this. It's called The Arrival. It's not Arrival.
Oh, it's different from Arrival.
It's called
by Denis Villeneuve.
Yep, it's called The Arrival.
Okay.
I got to make sure there's an article in front of it because it might just be Arrival too. As well.
Arrival 2.
It's got Charlie Sheen in it. I think
1996.
Yeah, Charlie Sheen. Is it Anne Hesh? There's a blonde haired chick in it.
Terry Polo.
Yeah, is that her?
It looks like it.
Yep.
Okay.
And it's a movie that me and my brother watched when we were probably 8 or 9 years old. Charlie Sheen is like works in telecommunications, and he gets wind that there's like alien presence going on and that they're infiltrating the United States. And pretty much it's like right when telecommunications started getting like big. So like, the later 90s is when cell phones started coming out. How does satellites work? And it's pretty much him and like a spy mode, essentially trying to uncover the truth. Pretty schlocky.
Okay.
It's fun. I'll just say it's fun.
Okay.
You will watch it, and this is more of the. So this is like the silly that you like we wanted in that movie, but it's not. I think it's so hard to tell because I don't think it's intended to be silly. I think it's silly by 90s standards.
Yeah.
Like this is what was kind of scary back then. Like, and you watch it now, you're like, boy, that is way off.
Yeah.
So this one, it's got Charlie Sheen in it too, doing his best like Charlie Sheen. He's got a goatee, and it's like in Mexico, so everything's like hot, and it's like uncovering the truth. And it's just fun. It's
What's really out there?
Yeah, exactly. And there's a kid that's involved with it that's helping him out, and he's like insane because no one believes him, so he's gotta. It's fun. It's a fun movie. So that's the one that I would recommend, The Arrival. And yeah,
I don't know how neither of us have said Alien yet. Neither of us has said Ridley Scott's Alien.
Well, I mean, there's like you got that. You got Arrival, Close Encounters of the Third
Arrival's
Kind.
great. Yep.
I mean, their Independence Day. There's a bunch of fun ones. I was trying to think of one that maybe like Dark Skies is I think one that not a lot of people have seen, or might have gone under the radar.
Yeah.
So
I definitely haven't heard of it before.
Yeah,
it was under my radar.
It's on. I want to say it's on like HBO or something like that. Me and Justin talked a little bit. I haven't seen it because there's this other movie that came out back in the 90s that I think kind of like Dark Skies.
Yeah.
Guy gets sucked up by an alien, comes back, and he's trying to explain to people, and no one believes him. But it's once again it's the 90s ilk. So I think like and I haven't seen Dark Skies yet, but I think it's along that line.
The Thing is a really good alien horror film.
We've recommended. We did a whole thing on The Thing. So
well, yeah, but still great.
Should we just name off alien movies like for people to watch? Because that's what I was trying to think. Like we could come up with them, but like what would be the one where if someone sat you down and you were like,
you got to pick the alien movie for me to watch.
Not necessarily but like something like I think The Arrival, like you could watch that with your friends and you guys would have a fun time.
Yeah.
Like that's the one where it was like, if I'm going to go with something that's older and maybe more of the spectacle, like Close Encounters, I need to watch again. I haven't seen that since I was 12.
Yeah.
Like I really, after watching Nope, I think that's one that has got to get pulled up and figure Independence Day would probably be, that's a top 5 movie for me, so that would be an easy one, but we talk about it enough and I feel like enough people have seen it. So.
Yeah. The first Men in Black movie is really fun. I like that as a comedy alien buddy cop movie.
Yeah. That's
like 3 genres in one right there.
Is Edgar Wright attached to that one at all?
Edgar Wright? I don't think so.
Who was... Go on, yeah.
Speaking of Edgar Wright, I guess people like The World's End, but I haven't seen it, so I can't really verify too much.
The World's End?
Yeah. Are you looking up?
No, Barry Sonnenfeld.
Okay. Yeah, not Edgar Wright.
No,
I didn't think it was.
There was he was attached to a couple different things. I didn't realize that he directed it. I remember when I looked this guy up when I wanted to see who directed Men in Black. So that's why I was thinking, because it definitely feels silly. The World's End's all right.
Kids alien movie, E.T.
Yeah.
If you wanna have a fun time with your son, but don't want him to be exposed to all the gooey, bloody, gory parts like Alien.
I think Close Encounters is of the same ilk. My dad had me and my brother watch that.
Would you consider Cloverfield an alien movie?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
100%.
Then Cloverfield. Yeah.
Yeah, Cloverfield's a good one. That one is one, I mean, that kind of holds up too.
It's like a found footage, almost like Godzilla movie, but
yeah,
it's like a big alien that you don't really see directly throughout most of it.
Yeah, The Mist could be one.
Yeah.
Have you seen The Mist?
I know about it.
Yeah, The Mist would be a good one. So I'm trying to think of like alien attack films or alien invasions. I
mean, War of the Worlds is definitely a spectacle movie, I would say.
Boy, you talk about like getting one half right and one half wrong. I mean, like 2 different directors.
Yeah. It's like,
God damn.
I'm done working on this second unit. You want to pick this up? Steven
would love to see a Phantom Menace doc like on that movie.
Oh yeah,
would love
the making of War of the Worlds,
just to be behind all of that, to see him and Tom working together and being like,
you get George Lucas visiting the set of that movie, kind of like how Steven's.
Oh my god! Like at 5 a.m.
Yeah,
he's like, hey, you're doing you got your thing, like.
Yeah, he's like, and this is the alien model that we're going to use. Steven's telling George, and George is going, this will be great. This is great.
This is awesome.
This is awesome.
This is going to be great.
This is going to be great.
It's going to be a spectacle.
This is great.
Yeah, Steven, this is great. Wow, yeah, this is gonna be awesome. This is great.
That would have been golden.
That movie. What was the Phantom Menace? The what was it called?
The Attack of the Clones?
No.
Are you trying to think of all the prequel titles?
No, not the movie. The one we
Oh,
watched.
the documentary.
Yeah,
It was the beginning.
the beginning.
The making of Episode 1, Phantom Menace.
Bad. This is very bad.
This is grim.
Oh,
this is really grim.
This is grim. It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right. This is grim. This pod was gonna make the whole pod racing scene, and now we have to figure out how to make it again.
Oh.
Talk about a dude like that, just way over, like just 110% behind all of this, and not knowing what's going on.
I got a fake confidence, but my fake confidence is falling apart at the seams.
Oh my god, we should really do like a list of movies that we'd want to see, like, that.
So continuing the theme with aliens, his next question in this set is, which films do you feel have portrayed alien life forms well, and which ones have botched it?
Botched it.
War of the Worlds, when they revealed the actual aliens, I was like, really? That's what they look like? They're these little, like, skinny, gangly green men that just kind of like walk around on like these skinny ass legs, like. Those weren't anything too special,
No.
The alien design in Signs I thought wasn't bad, but not necessarily anything special.
Just giant.
They were just green men, like what you would see in like a kid's drawing.
Movie 3.
I liked the alien designs in Arrival. I thought were really interesting and cool.
That's the one that I was
They're like
gonna
these
say.
squid creatures almost.
Yeah.
Those were really awesome.
And just simple enough trying to figure out the language.
The Tomorrow War, they were just big white dogs, basically.
That's the one where it's like, it's so hard because, I mean, you're taking everyone's kind of like, I thought, nope, like if they're really like that, nope, nailed it. I mean, if that was like a beast,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's one of the better ones that I've seen.
Super unique and interesting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Very creative.
The Xenomorph. I mean, that's a pretty good one.
Yeah, anything designed by H.R. Giger, I think, is just really creepy and top of the line.
Yeah, he's got a very perverted mind.
Yeah, it's really fucked up.
I thought if you talk about not nailing it, I don't know. Honestly, like the Attack of the Block, like these, it's not they weren't bad, but like. I just got pissed off that I'm like, oh, it's a person inside a fucking fursuit.
There's a bunch of furries running around.
Well, I mean, like, dude, and then the sweet thing is, like, they hide in the alley, and then, like, it's like, is that something? And then they, like, the fangs come out, and you're like, oh, shit, that's something. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, hey, we're going to show, Ted, hop in here, and let's have you kind of move around.
Yeah.
Like, the only thing I think I liked it in was when they hopped, like, John Boyega in slow motion running. And they hopped over the chair and these things like in slow motion because you actually don't get a sense of how fast they move. That was when you could slow it down and can take out the fact that there's people in there. Absolutely.
I don't know why this is coming to my mind, but as a kid I really liked it. So maybe it's nostalgia talking, but I kind of liked how the aliens in the Jimmy Neutron movie were designed. Okay. Like have you seen that movie? They're like these egg-shaped aliens where like they had like this shell, like their whole body was like this shell, and like their eyes were like behind this like glass. Yeah. And let me look up what they looked like. And Jimmy Neutron alien.
I'm pretty sure the Ghosts of Mars, they're aliens.
So that's what they looked like. Was these egg-shaped things. I don't know. As a kid, I thought they were kind of interesting.
Okay.
Yeah. Because like their whole body is kind of like this goopy substance, but their eyes are like Mr. Krabs a little bit.
So if they came out like that in real life, would you be because the question is like your most accurate interpretation of aliens?
I think it's a unique design. Just from like a design standpoint, I really like it.
Justin, we're taking your question. We're gonna do some creative liberties with it. I agree with that because that is a unique design. So I'm trying to do unique designs too. I did like the Tomorrow War things.
Yeah, I didn't think they were bad. I just thought they weren't anything super special. I think anything that like portrays alien life just like humans, like, oh, they're aliens but they're humans and they're like whatever, kind of like the TV show V, how like they first portrayed them is like, okay, they're aliens but they just look like people,
Species.
like, yeah, just like a different species or whatever, like,
oh no, I meant the movie Species, but
oh, okay. Gotcha.
yeah, not to take it away, but yeah, this Independence Day, actually, I really thought it was it's unique in the sense that they have a giant exoskeleton, I would want to say, that's protecting the person inside of it. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like they were just the little guys that were operating something bigger, but it provides protection for them. Like if you were to think about advanced life, would be able to move around, I think bipedally, on two legs, but yet we have to suffer all the damage incurred by this.
Yeah.
If there was something else outside of us that allowed us to move around and still take in all the senses, yet shield us from any of that danger. Mm-hmm. Men in Black kind of come to mind, them controlling someone.
Oh yeah. Like a little parasitic thing.
Yeah.
I think we answered that question pretty well.
I think that's a 10 out of 10 answer.
I think so.
Yeah. All right, moving on.
Booyah.
Booyakasha.
Yeah, bro. So his last question is for me specifically. Kyle, what would you name your fantasy football team? You're gonna have to help me out a little, Matt, because I'm not as you know me, listeners.
Y'all know me now.
Y'all know me now. I'm not much of a one that is inclined towards the recreational activity of the sports.
You got to do a pun that involves aliens.
With a football team?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. So, man, that one's tough. Let's see. UF offense. UF offense.
Okay.
Yeah. That's like the first one that came to mind.
Shitty one, but we're still close. Like you're gonna give us some ones that you'd put on a shirt that you'd sell at like Big Lots.
Yeah. Like you're gonna find it at Goodwill eventually.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking right now. If we did a clothing line, it'd be like one of the ones where it safe picks. Yeah. I'm trying to think.
Alien AstroTurf. Would that be one that?
Yeah,
isn't that what the field is called or whatever?
Yeah,
like
absolutely. That's what I'm saying. I really like. Yeah,
Alien AstroTurf.
These are team names I'll give Preston.
Yeah. Let's see. The saucer sardines. I don't know.
Well, I'm trying to think of something along the lines of.
I'm trying to come up with football terms, but it's hard for me because
mine's gonna be stop that penetration.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. So wait, what? So you play fantasy football? Like, what are your real fantasy football team names? Just so I can get an idea.
If you want to know the strategy, I'll be happy to talk about it off the air.
Okay.
In terms of naming, I like most of the time you get a guy and then you come up with like a pun off of his name.
It's like a guy that you have as a part of your team.
Yeah, most of the time. You don't want to have someone else's guy on their team and then name your team after that guy.
Right, okay.
So usually you get something. So I had a guy in baseball. The guy's name's Mookie Betts. My team name was Mookie of the Year.
Okay.
Instead of Rookie of the Year.
It wasn't Place Your Bets? It wasn't that?
That's another. See? Place your bets. Like, that's a good one. Like, you got to get. So, like.
Dang, because you're placing them in your roster, and you're also placing your bets with the fantasy football.
I'm telling you, like, you got to go more off of like a name for your football team. So let's say you drafted. Give me a team. Do you know any team?
Any football team?
Any football team.
The Seattle Seahawks.
Okay, so let's go. Man, talk about a fucking unreal team because I don't know anyone. Drew Lock, guy's name, or Drew Lock.
Drew Lock, Lock.
Yep.
Okay.
Alien.
Locked in Place.
Not bad.
Or you want it to be more alien related?
We got a theme going here. Come on, attack the block.
Is there a player named Beam? Because I could do something with like Tractor Beam.
Let's say there is. There is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tractor Beam Bros or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Tractor Beam Bros. That's
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with that as an answer.
That would be your one?
I think that would...
Tractor Beam Bros?
Yeah, Tractor Beam Bros.
Right,
it sounds like it could be also like a cool indie game. Like a side-scrolling, pixelated sort of like...
Yeah, like you're hopping around like Mario and like the thing would come down, and if you got in the light...
It's a Mario knockoff,
yeah.
except it's aliens instead of turtles,
Cool. All right, that's fine. I'm going to go with... I know it wasn't directed for me, but Stop That Penetration.
Okay.
That's the one I think that I feel most comfortable with.
Stop That Probing.
Yeah.
Our next question comes from Sam, your brother.
Oh.
You know, your brother Sam. Sam, your brother.
My bruv.
Yeah, your bruv.
What's
your
up,
bruv? Your brother asks, what has been your favorite episode so far on the podcast?
Interesting.
I really like our Midnight in Paris at Eternity's Gate episode. I always go back to that one, and I like to listen to our discussion on At Eternity's Gate. I think that was a good one.
For a film that, like, I really don't know if I liked. I think that one sticks with me. I think every time we hop on here, I reference that one. Mm-hmm. I think in the last 4 episodes, I've referenced them 3 times.
I think so, yeah.
Like, it's insane that one...
We go into so much detail about, like, just what our gripes were with the movie, and we found that, like, there was so much there, but also not there at all, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like that discussion was really good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed our Oscar episode quite a bit. I think we divvied up all the movies that we wanted to talk about pretty well and organized it pretty well.
We hammer them for like 15 minutes and move on, or like one's like 3 minutes and another one's 28 minutes or something. I don't remember.
Well, the only one that we really didn't talk much about was Dune, because we already talked about it in a previous episode. So.
And that probably saved us up a decent amount of time.
I think so.
Yeah.
Any episode where we have a guest, I like though. I like those a lot. So like the 2 times we had Gideon and then your brother on, that was a lot of fun.
I have to say those are. Yeah.
Not to give your brother like a big ego or anything, but he's a fun
validation,
character.
Huh?
Yeah. What do you want to boost your ego a little bit there, Sam?
I'm trying to think of cuz like for me it would probably be the one with Gideon or with Sam, A24 or
our Marvel talk.
The beginning. The Marvel one was all right. Like I like that one. Don't get me wrong. I just like when we talk about favorites like that stick out, like I think I'd choose one of those 2 off the cuff. Yeah. Like when we get someone else on here, like that perspective and the banter that we're able to get, so it always feels like we're all hanging out, you know?
Yeah.
And then when it comes to like our discussions, I don't know.
I liked our Charlie Kaufman episode quite a bit.
That's the first one that came to mind, but I remember being like sick on that one or feeling sick.
Oh yeah.
Like, cause I remember like I was like, I don't remember. I didn't have a fever or anything, but it was like around COVID and I was nervous I had COVID, but then we're talking, we were doing all just heavy subject matter after heavy subject matter. And I wasn't feeling all that great. So by the end of it, I was so lightheaded.
It kind of beat you up a little bit.
Oh my God. Mentally, dude, I was such like in a fog, and I had to watch 2 of those films that day. I think I got watched Adaptation and Eternal Sunshine. So like, it was just a lot to throw at me with heady subject matters and you know.
I enjoyed our Blade Runner discussion.
Blade Runner would probably be
quite a bit. Like that whole episode, I feel that's
a pretty spot on episode.
I enjoyed that one quite a bit. I think my personal favorite is episode 10. You know that one?
No, I'm pulling it up right now because
episode 10, my favorite one.
Oh, the one you did by yourself. When I wasn't sure if I had COVID or not, and so you did your. Give it a listen. I was like, yeah, man.
No, that one's not my favorite. But
actually, you know what? The Jurassic World Dominion, not that one. The Black Phone and Stalker.
Stalker was.
Like if I did more of like what movies did you like talking about the most?
Stalker was one of my favorite conversations ever.
I mean,
that one was so good.
Loved Stalker. Yeah, all right. We're taking creative liberties with your question too, Sam. I did like both Gideon and Sam. My 2 favorite apps are A24 and the one Sam was on. Like, those 2 without a doubt.
Yeah.
But then like when you get into some of these conversations, Blade Runner 2049 was awesome.
Yeah.
Really like talking about Magnolia. At Eternity's Gate.
Oh yeah. Stalker, one of my favorites.
Stalker.
Honestly, I think my favorite is the Stalker conversation, I would say.
Stalker was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm just kind of going through this right now.
I liked our Troll Hunter Moonfall episode. That one was fun.
That one was fun.
Mm-hmm.
That one was fun because I think we got to bash Moonfall for.
Oh, yeah.
And Troll Hunter is a good movie.
Bashing movies is always a fun time, especially Speed 2. Oh, my God. In terms of like talking about bad movies, I think that one's my favorite.
Mine, I would honestly say it's like when I have a different perspective than you. Or when you're able to be like, I know what I like. The Cat in the Hat one gave a lot of. And I already had seen it, but to do the research behind it and see like and come up with some theories on like what happened, fun.
Yeah,
you know,
the ones where we kind of delve like deep into it.
Yeah,
I think is always a fun time.
Mm-hmm. That's the one I like. I mean, so that's when we start talking about some of that stuff. Yeah, like it's just there's certain like and like the whole episode as a whole. Sometimes like the movie like I'm not really big on like Jurassic World Dominion wasn't big on bashing. It's just it's not that great of a film. Like,
yeah,
it's like one of those ones where we got to talk about it.
That's one where we're just kind of like, all right, let's just jump right into this so then we can go on to the next movie.
I think At Eternity's Gate and Stalker, just like thinking about it, probably have a similar like. I don't know if I'll forget those films.
Yeah.
And both films I don't think I rated highly at all.
No. Well, those films are like ones where like the problems to them are like it's specifically At Eternity's Gate, you know, are so unique to that movie, I feel like. You know, that movie it felt like kind of messy in a way that only that movie could be messy, you know?
Yeah.
So, I think I think we answered that question pretty well too.
Yeah.
Our next question comes from Gideon. If you had to ask the Neon Crew podcast a question, what would you ask? I would ask that one.
Oh, you're just copying and pasting?
Yeah. I'm just I'm pulling a Shia LaBeouf. I'm plagiarizing, baby.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know, what would you ask the podcast? If you were a listener, right? Let's say you were switched with somebody.
Oh.
Like say Drew, like in an alternate universe, Drew was the podcast host,
right.
And
Wow.
you were the listener.
Alternate universe, probably gonna like 2 months.
Jesus. What would you want to ask? Like, what's a question that you have wanted to answer, but that we just haven't been asked yet?
I don't, dude. I've seen so many fucking films like in this world. Like I don't think that there's anything. Well, as we go along, the question that I'd want to have asked is like, when would we be able to get like more film in, or when would we be able to tailor more of seeing the films that we like should be able to link up. You know, that would be, and that's more so between like operations than it is just for the Neon Crew. But other than that, no, like questions of films that we've seen, like I think we both got a pretty good feel for what we'd expect each other to view a movie as. Yeah. You know? Like I know the funny thing is because I listened to the first, it was the A24 app that I listened to, and you told me to watch a film, and I don't remember what one. And I was like, oh, that was definitely like poking fun at like my viewership of films, you know? And like when you hear it though, it's like, oh, it's because like we really just don't understand like what type of films that we all like, that we, you know, have a good time watching. So when it comes to stuff like that, I've got a pretty good idea of where we'll fit in at. Like if I had to give like accurate guesses, I think I've been pretty close on everything we've talked about. There might have been one I was talking to, what was the last one? So
after the A24 episode was Chopper, which was one you recommended. And then the one that I recommended next was Eternal Sunshine. Yep. Which along with that, we watched 2 other of Charlie Kaufman's movies. So
The French Dispatch and Bone Tomahawk.
Yeah.
Akira, Riders of Justice. Yeah, I mean, you know.
That one was also good. Yeah.
That was a good one. Akira and Riders, like Akira, it doesn't stick with me as much. But in terms of like a film, it's, I still have some of the images.
If you guys are hearing like birds and stuff, it's because I have a window open. So you're going to get a little bit of nature ASMR along with us talking. So I hope you enjoy that. And if not, I'm sorry. You know, the outside exists. So I can't do it.
Strip it out of them.
I can't do anything about that
Take
right
it
now.
out of the sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that I think that's where. So that's where I fall in. Other than that, I really never have questions. My question's always, did you like the film or not? Like, nope. My biggest thing was like, did you like it? You know, that's always gonna be my biggest question.
Yeah.
So even if we flip flop it, I don't think there's anything that, you know, and it's hard to, dude. I'm the one sitting in the chair. Like, how am I gonna?
Yeah, it's hard to have that perspective when we're the hosts.
Yeah. I think answering Gideon's question would be more so with operations and what's our next step.
Yeah.
What's our next step in terms of like how we do this, or themes that we decide to go with, or like, you know, we just switched up the intro today.
Yeah.
You know, so that's a you know, it's
I think,
evolving.
I don't know if this is a question that we've gotten before, but I think like a question I think would be fun to answer would be like, what is a movie that you were a fan of as a kid that you were nostalgic for, but upon a second viewing didn't like as much? And I think we might have gotten that question before, but I'm trying to remember.
We just talked about one of them.
Speed suit. So yeah, those are always fun questions. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to think of one when you're the one in the seat, like you said. So
I think our questions, even if you were to ask, it's like we've talked so much about film. I think honestly, like, more of our questions would be probably tailored to what we're like the show itself, as opposed to like the films in it. Because if I have a question about a film, I'm gonna ask you to watch it. Hey,
I guess like a cool question would be like, what is your recording process like? You know, like that. I don't know. That'd be kind of cool.
Speaking of ops,
yeah.
Catch
Like,
Kyle.
Like, learn a little bit more about like behind the scenes. Like, what's the editing process like? What?
One of these days, I'll put a GoPro on and we'll put that out on YouTube.
Yeah. You'll put one on. I'll put one on. We'll do the Mac cut and the Kyle cut.
Yeah. There we go. You'll have a bunch of content for that.
Yeah, that would be something.
Yeah.
Our next question comes from Michael. Who would have a worse day if you were Freaky Friday'd into the other's bodies? And I've thought about this one. I think me being in your body would have the worst day.
100%.
Because not only do you have a different, like, sort of, like, I feel like if you were to go into my body, it would be pretty straightforward. You go to work, you go home, and you do, like, any household responsibility that needs to be done that day, and then that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
I go into your body, I have to learn how football works, how coaching football works. I have to learn how to do your job. I have to learn all these different things. Like,
and if Preston gives me a call, you're gonna have to talk with him.
I have to learn how to be a dad. I have to learn how to manage that. I feel like your life would be a lot harder for me to learn than my life would be for you to learn.
The responsibilities that each of us have are different. So you'd have to take the Freaky Friday day that we'd have to do would be, you take your worst day of being like, all right, I've got to go to my job. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have to like go see my grandma.
Yep.
You know, I have to contact someone about this room specifically that I wanted to have like done, you know, like fixing the house, like something that only you know that you planned, you know, that costs like $2,000. Like if you have that in your head somewhere at all, like going down like at a certain point, like if it was that day coming up.
Yeah.
You know, and then it would be like, all right, I've got to, you know, like I gotta whatever you got. I mean, I don't know what other, you know, my responsibilities that I have. I mean, like you'd have to come in, you got 80 or 90 dudes that you'd have to talk, like a phone call from anywhere, you got to answer it and help them out, or else like you're going to lose like doing a work order or a job. It's like it costs you money.
Yep.
Then you get into like, let's do a Friday. So now you're going to go to game day. You got to coach the kids and you got to help out with like calling the defense, you know, and then after the game, you're going to have to get on the phone with Preston or something like that.
Yeah. There'd be so much of your like life and the aspects of your life that I'd have to learn. Yeah. I feel like the most from mine you'd have to learn is like how to do my job, which is pretty straightforward. It's super easy. Yeah. And how to go about editing the podcast and putting it together.
That one would be the tricky one.
And then after you learn that, it's pretty smooth sailing from there.
And then it's just, you know, kind of getting by, doing stuff, hanging out.
Yeah, just hanging out with friends, watching movies. Like, you have a lot more responsibilities than I do. And
yeah.
I think that is pretty apparent.
It's like impacting. The big thing for me is like because everyone's got responsibilities. It's impacting others. Because like, you know, if I didn't have the job that I have with the guys, like if it was just doing like, you know, whatever, like then, yeah, it's a responsibility because I could get fired if I don't do it. But like, it's all like if this guy doesn't go somewhere, he also doesn't get paid.
Yeah.
And
right.
then it's like with football, like I'm like trying to help these guys, these young kids, you know, learn about certain things as like principles in life and how to conduct yourselves as well as football. So there's a little teetering act of hanging out with a 16-year-old and being like, all right, we're going to learn how to stop inside zone.
You have a lot more responsibility to others.
Yeah, and helping them out and making sure that I put them on the right path. So
and you've got, you know, you've also got your son too.
There's 3 different parties that I try to do it every day, and 3 different worlds that I have to live in between work, football, and then, you know, my kid.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't just ride the one line and be like this, you know, how you're supposed to do is just be, you know, responsible and ethical. And
well, I'm glad that you make time for me.
yeah. Well, and then this one, like, well, this would be the easiest one if we flip bodies right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like
we'd be doing the same thing. You'd just be looking at.
I'd just be in that chair.
You'd be looking
in
at
this
you,
chair.
and I'd be looking at me.
It's it'd be like the Spider-Man pointing me.
Yeah.
Oh man. So I think we've answered that. And that was our questions that we got on the Facebook. Thank you guys for leaving those.
Yeah, appreciate that.
We got one bit of business before we wrap up.
There we go.
I get to make a film pick recommendation.
And then we got, pick it, and then let's see what else we got coming down the pipe with it.
Oh, yeah. We'll figure it out down the road. But I have a question for you.
Okay.
Because how you answer this depends on what I pick.
Okay, that's what I was picking up.
So do you want to talk about... Because I'm going to recommend either of them, like, down the road.
Yeah.
Are you in the mood for a film like with a narrative, like a plot, or are you in the mood for more of a documentary?
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
At this point right now, probably I'd say a narrative. I'll say this: I'm always down for the narrative. So sometimes I get into docs and sometimes I don't. So. If we got into a documentary, we'd be able to. How soon? Well, every other way. I'm gonna do the narrative now because I think after, because if you're gonna do like back to back, like you've got these 2 films that are gonna be your next 2 picks. I think I'll slow down enough to where if we do it, the doc one. Not that docs scare me, but I think what's going to happen is if you pick a documentary, I have to dive into the deep end with it, and it's going to be more of researching, I would say. So I feel like it's a rabbit hole that I don't want to go down right now.
Gotcha.
So the narrative could be, though, but...
Okay. So since you've decided that, I know what I'm going to pick. So we're coming up on a year of having this podcast, having some goofs, having some gaffes, having some laughs. And I'm going to kind of take us back a little bit to our first episode where we talked about 2 films directed by Nicholas Winding Refn. Oh. And I think that your perspective on this movie would be very valuable because...
Neon Demon?
You're jumping ahead. I had this whole introduction in my head.
Sorry.
But yes, the Neon Demon.
Okay,
I want to recommend the Neon Demon. Because I want to know your thoughts on that. And I watched it one time over a year ago probably, and I think that it's got some interesting ideas, and I'm curious as to what your thoughts would be. So
yeah,
that's my recommendation.
I'm just now thinking about it too. I'm like, I don't know. I didn't watch Only God Forgives last time we talked about it.
Yeah,
I know.
You were taking it from memory.
I missed. Well, I remember it was like, hey, it's no longer streaming anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was on Netflix, but then it just...
I bet you it's on YouTube, though. Like, I go to YouTube now if I can't find a film.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I think, but it hit or miss.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's down there, sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
You don't really know until you check. But yeah, Neon Demon, directed by Nicholas Winding Refn, starring Elle Fanning. And it's got Keanu Reeves in it, but he's not a huge role, so we'll see how that goes. Yeah, I'm looking forward to your thoughts on this.
Yes. Yeah, I'm trying to think of a movie we might be able to pair it with. I'll talk to you off there.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you don't want to be spoiled for the Neon Demon, be sure to watch that before episode 28. Thank you guys for listening. These episodes come out every 2 weeks on Sunday. You can find us at www.neoncrewpodcast.com. We're also on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. We're on various social medias, so look us up on there. And hopefully, you guys enjoyed listening to this one. Mac, do you have anything to say before we sign off?
Hey, as always. How do you say it in the British accent?
WWTHD, bro.
Bye.